Hello, hello. It is I. I've returned. It's been a while. I did a member stream a few days ago. But if you're not a member, you haven't seen it, these streams don't really get pushed on the For You page. And it was also just a blue lock watch along, so watch alongs isn't necessarily our regular content. It's been a difficult how can I say that 10 days. I've been sick, lost a family member and more. I don't really want to get into all of that. I don't really want to think about sad stuff. I spent a lot of time with my family while I was away. And I feel like my voice has been recovering. So I kind of wanted to do this stream to see, how far I can go with, my limits, how much I can talk. I'm going to try to mute for the coughs, but I have a dry cough. Very dry. my throat is really, really dry. That's been the main issue, that's lingering with me. And no matter how much water I drink, it doesn't do anything. Which sucks because live streaming is all about yapping. So I feel like I can't really do it properly. Thank you, Scarlett, and thank you for the resub. Thank you, Captain Rise. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, guys. But I mean, it's good to be back. I feel like I've already done the mopping around on the couch. Yesterday, I was with my mom. She made some lobster for us. So I have a good support system at home. Lots of hug. Thank you, Charlie, for the super chat. So yeah, we're starting a little late today. I mean, there's a lot that happened while I was gone. Thank you, Huntbot. I really appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, guys. I love you guys. Yeah, I had to move back the celebration stream till Saturday, but I don't know what time we should start. I don't know how long it takes to make and bake a cake. But the Niana concert starts at 9, so we might need to start earlier just to make sure that we're not squeezed on time. But for today, look, a lot has happened while I was gone. I'm seeing lots of talks of Offkai, lots of talks of Oshi Cafe. There's the triple idol graduations that happened with only one of them being offered the option of getting an IP, which is odd. And then the Niana Banyana announcing her graduation yesterday as well. Very emotional stream. We're probably not going to get through everything today. I'll just do what I feel like I can do. And if I run out of voice, then we'll just switch to, reacting to something. Missed you. The best news comes straight from the horse's mouth. Always appreciate what you do for the VTuber community. Thank you, Casual MTG. Yeah, there's been a lot of introspection lately about what I want to do and also what I want to do for my community. How big of a cake are you baking? It's gonna be a horse-shaped cake, actually. I've never baked a cake in my life, but I bought all the ingredients today, and I bought a bunch of decorations, and I'm thinking of putting, people who super chat, name on the cake, so I think it's gonna be great. It actually gonna look like that emote you're using, Trashy Nuva. It's literally, the mold, it looks like that. Yeah. So I'm hoping we can have fun. It's gonna be like a hand cam stream. So I also need to set up some time to make sure that everything is safe and secured. Yeah, it's going... I don't know. I'm hoping it's not gonna be a disaster. I'm hoping there's an actual cake, at least. Like, I'm hoping that we get the shape. Like, I feel like we can do that, right? And it's also going to be my first kick stream. Yeah. And then we'll have the concert at night. I'm singing one song only this time. Just, I didn't have time to prepare more than that. It's a really good song, though. It's really fucking good. I hope you guys tune in for it. Yeah, you guys know that I've been invited to Niena's concert like almost every single time, except the first time she's done one. And it's been some kind of tradition. She works really hard for these. That's kind of why I don't want my stream to overlap with hers. Like, I kind of want to braid into her concert if I can. But her concert kind of starts early. It starts at 9, so we need to start earlier so we can finish around that time.
Nay, nay, bitches.
Nay, nay, bitches. Thank you. Wait, let me pull this up. Stream elements. Kiwasa! Super chat not working for... Oh my god, it's a big tip, Kiwasa! Super chat not working for me for some reason. We are your emotional support underlings. Please abuse us to feel better. Thank you, Kiwasa. I appreciate you guys so much. Tina Taylor, welcome back to the Cute Squad. I think I'll talk about it more during the celebration stream. Hopefully some of you guys are around to hear it. Plans for us, plans for the channel. I'll talk about it a little bit today in my Discord server, but like I have a lot of dreams, I have a lot of goals, and I hope you guys can follow me through these, and I want you guys to accomplish your own adventures and your own dreams. And if you follow me, I promise you, we'll embark on a wonderful adventure together. So before further ado, let's get right into it. So today's stream is actually on Nijisanji. It's been a while. I feel like it's been a while. Since our last Niji Yab. So what's been going on? This is a controversy that's mostly talked about in the East Asia region. It's about Japanese livers. There's 3 main characters in this story. Kane, Fanta, and Ririmu. So there's 2 of them that are Nijisanji livers. One of them is not a Nijisanji. And all of this went down in this GTA roleplay Nijisanji server. I think it's a Nijisanji server. It's called Madtown. I'm not sure if it's hosted by them. But regardless, there's a lot of Nijisanji people in it. So this is like, you know, a roleplay stream. So it happens during a GTA roleplay stream. VTuber Kanai and another streamer engage in banter with a female VTuber's incapacitated character, which is Ririmu's. And it's been widely criticized by viewers as inappropriate behavior resembling sexual harassment. So let's watch what happened. I don't think this is an exclusive Niji GTA server. Maybe it's just a server with a bunch of, you know, popular Japanese VTubers. All right, sound check. Music off. Oh my god, we're so good now. Never mind, my audio's off. I thought I checked everything, but it can never be smooth. Okay, here we go again.
今死んでるからプール泳げないんだ。
お疲れ様。
あ、お疲れ様。ファンドさんこれ。
みんなナイスだよみんなナイス。
コンちゃんいますか？
好きにしていいよ。
待って待ってねやだこの人やだこの人やだ。
この人やだ。
So she's like, oh, not this guy, not this guy. Oh, I can do whatever I want with her. You think you have a choice?
じゃあファンドさんはい。キモいから暴言。
褒めてる？俺のこと。褒めてんのか？助けて？誰も助けないよ。だってみんな仲間なんだもん。高校はさ。ちゃんリリムちゃん。
ちゃんとねやだやだやだ。
なんでだよ。
待ってこの世界で一番気持ち悪いかも。
この世界で一番気持ち悪い。いや何事も一番ってのは大変だからね。
どうしたの？
あの人怖いファンタさん。
あの人変態なだけでいい人だよ。
He's a perv, but he's a good guy.
女の子に近づかせちゃう。
でもあの人いい人だよ。すごくいい人。
今からチームショー今いい人かもしれないけど。
ありがと
あんまり放っておくとなんか被害者増えていくと思う。トラウマを植え付けられる人がどんどん増えていくと思うよ。
もう増えすぎて無理だよ。
う。刑務所から来るまで。
諦めないでよ。
手遅れ。
もうそんな被害者いるんだにやん。
ファンタさんの被害者はまあ多いだろうね。
Okay, so this is the clip. And then there's all the POVs from like Fentai is another, Japanese VTubers. I feel like some of you might not be familiar with him. He kind of has like this wrestling mask.
この世界で一番気持ち悪いかも。
この世界で。
何もされたくない。
あ、じゃあちょっとお願いしてみて。なんでねえ、そんな。あ、やめて。
ファンタに会うと、放送に映せないような状況になっちゃうらしくて。
This outfit is crazy.
言ってた。
付き合う可能性とかあるのみたいな聞いた。
We don't have subtitles here, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to watch. So there's been a lot of, backlash, especially from the Chinese side. There's a lot of very upset Chinese viewers. This person saying, Riri Mu-chan, I love you so much, and I used to like Kanae too, but our anger isn't about you. It's because that as a principled woman, I can't tolerate men treating sexual harassment like a joke. I've seen so many women suffer from this thing. We just want them to stop. I think you can understand what I mean, and at the same time, I know you have a deep relationship with Kanae, so you don't want us to talk too much. Since he's apologized, I won't say anything more. Still, as a viewer, it was really painful. I hope you don't hate me. I probably should have read this comment after I've read their statement, but we'll get back to it. No, that made me feel sick when I saw it. This is another comment that's been translated. It's a pretty bare-bone translation with Google Translate, so, just take it with a grain of salt. Actually, this has nothing to do with you directly, but when I see sexual harassment being treated as entertainment, it makes me sad. Whether the person involved is voluntary or not, I think that turning sexual harassment into entertainment and making light of it as a joke is fundamentally wrong. Also, overseas, there's no culture that easily accepts this kind of behavior that makes fun of women suffering. I need a cough, 1 sec. Okay. There's a Reddit thread also talking about it. Just on Reddit, when I see posts about Kanae, and when I look, this translation's kind of scuffed too. Do I have an express version? I want to know what's going on. It's been a long time since I last saw a rainbow. There's a kanji can, gave the body of another female from the same company to a male with a history of sexual harassment during a game. I don't know what they mean with a history of sexual harassment. It might be a mistranslation. Saying, feel free to do as you like. Throughout the process, the girl kept refusing, saying, I don't like this person. We've seen this quote. She did say that, but I think she was bantering when she said that. But no one paid attention and everyone laughed. After this segment, the girl told KN, if this continues, there will be more victims. She did say that too. And KN dismissed it, saying this person may be a pervert, but he's a good guy. In the next live broadcast, in response to the comments mentioning this incident, KN said the person involved, in parentheses, the girl, in brackets, the girl didn't say anything, so you guys shouldn't worry about it. And only people without friends would get angry about this. In a recent morning live session, KN blamed the translation, calling it malicious translation, claiming to have asked RRM, but she herself didn't care about the matter. Throughout all responses, KN never looked for reasons from himself, completely absolving himself, putting aside whether RRM was truly uncomfortable. The fact that he trivialized sexual harassment for entertainment was already highly inappropriate. Now, let's take a look at the livers' statements that they had to do. Well, we'll take a look at Ririmu's tweet first because it's easier to translate. And for the Kanai statement, he went live and we used like ChatGPT to translate it for us. This is a little bit more accurate. So Ririmu said, as I said on stream, I don't feel bad at all, so please don't make assumptions about Ririmu's feeling. Also, I think that people who watch Ririmu's stream properly know that it's entertainment. I want to continue to be friends with Neon, Kanae-kun, and Fenta-san, so those who really care about Ririmu should stop bashing others. I'm telling you to shut up and praise Rimu's helicopter. Seems like the comments are positive. Yeah, it seems most people, or most of our viewers, are positive. And then next we have Kanai's statement.
Hi. 聞こえる？聞こえてます？ちょっと配信の設定が。
So I'll give you guys a breakdown of his statement. So he begins the stream by greeting his viewers and doing a quick, audio check, mentioning his streaming setup is different than usual. Then he states the purpose of the stream to address the recent matter. He acknowledges that some viewers may not be aware of the incident, so he'll start by explaining what happened. The context is that the incident occurred during a Grand Theft Auto roleplay event called Mad Town. In the game, Kanae and fellow streamer Fanta were playing as gang members. Another VTuber, Ririmu, was playing as a police officer from a rival faction. Ririmu's character was downed, and Kanae took her back to their gang's hideout. While Ririmu's character was unable to move, Kanae and Fenta engaged in some banter that he described as joking around, with a suspicious atmosphere. He admits that this behavior could be interpreted as being like sexual harassment or even outright sexual harassment. He clarifies that in-game, the scene ended after a medic team arrived and he and Ririmu talked before parting ways. However, after the stream, the incident drew criticism. Viewers felt that their joking was excessive and in bad taste, and that it constituted sexual harassment. Kanoe admits that at the time he wasn't fully aware of how negatively it was being perceived. Kanoe clarifies a point he made earlier about malicious, fabricated translations. He stresses that he is not claiming all translations of the incident are wrong, but he specifically is referring to malicious edited clips that were created to misrepresent the situation. He gives an example of a fabricated clip he was made aware of, which allegedly edited footage to make it seem like Ririmu was crying because of the harassment incident. He clarifies that she was actually emotional about something else entirely, being praised for her in-game helicopter skills. His criticism is directed at these specific, intentionally misleading edited clips, not at standard translation efforts. Then Kanai reassures his fan that there are no hard feelings between him, Fanta, and Ririmu. He states that he contacted Ririmu personally after the incident to apologize in case he made her feel uncomfortable. Ririmu responded that it was okay and she understood it was just their usual style of banter. He wanted to dispel any worries that their friendship have been damaged. Final apology and conclusion. He sincerely apologizes for his action. He states that while it was an inside joke among friends, it went too far. He explicitly states that he had no intention of promoting or condoning sexual harassment or belittling women. However, he acknowledged that his intentions don't matter if his action made viewers feel uncomfortable or anxious. He admits that it was his fault for not being more considerate in a public broadcast and apologizes for it. He promises to be more careful in the future to avoid such situation. He accepts the criticism and negative feedback regarding the incident itself as valid. He asks, however, that people stop fighting and attacking each other in his social media replies. Finally, he announces that this will be his last public statement on the matter and requests that his apology stream not be cut into clips to ensure his full message is understood without distortion. He ends by apologizing once more. So what do you guys think of this? Yeah, I think HoloLive probably vetted a lot of what could be done on the RP server. I don't know who's organizing this server and who's, making the rules. It seems like a lot of VTubers are involved, so it's bound to be more chaotic. I think it's fair that some people might get uncomfortable with this kind of content, especially people that had previous bad experiences. I like that he took accountability and they apologized for it. I think that's fine. I think the response from the livers were fine. But at the end of the day, it was consensual. It was between friends, and it was also banter. Was it a joke in poor taste? Yes, it was. But yeah. I think that's what I think about it. Yeah, HoloLive sometimes would stop the roleplays if it was getting too far. Madtown is an independent work in progress server. Okay. Yeah, the public did not like it. The group was fine with it. The public did not receive it well. They did not receive it well at all. Most of the key players and organizers are indie. That's a cool project. So next, yeah, that's pretty much what I have for this. Next, I found this Dude, this Reddit thread, that is fucking content. I don't know if anybody spoke about it. And look at this. Look at this thread. This thread is called I'm a Nijisister and I've been playing on both sides. In this incident, so was the backlash coming from EN fans? The backlash was mostly coming, we're talking about the previous story now. The backlash was mostly coming from Chinese fans and Japanese fans. But mostly Chinese. Hi, Hermits! Yo, you got the rainbow badge. That's a top D. That's a top dog. Top dog badge. Thank you so much for the resub. Thank you. Okay, so this this thread is called I'm a Nijisister and I've been playing on both sides. And I'm really intrigued by this. Sorry if you don't care about this post, but frankly, this is more than just me wanting to talk a bit. I will admit, I like Nijisanji, talents at the company. I don't think any VTuber agency is good. I've been hanging out on Niji Twitter for a while since I like VTubers. I enjoy talking about them with others who also like VTubers, but Niji Twitter has become a toxic cesspool, which is why I've posted here so frequently. Any mild insult is considered harassment. I understand the fandom is decently on edge due to everything, but frankly, it's getting insane. It's gotten to the point where even Binted has started to realize how fucked Niji Twitter is and has distanced themselves from it. It's truly gotten that bad. I was a Nijisister back in 2019. Damn. Okay, they were there from the very start. I don't know if they understand what it means to be a Nijisister. I'd say they were Niji fans since 2019. Because a Nijisister mostly has like a negative connotation. Yeah, there was no Nijisister back in 2019. Let me drink some water real quick. Before EN even debuted and have been following since, left after the Doki incident and then went back around last year. And then went back around a year later. The reason I originally stopped engaging in Kurosanji discourse was because no matter what, I do not like Sayu and do not support her side. I do think they did a lot of their talents wrong, but I do not think they did Sayu injustice. What she did was extremely weird, in my opinion, he says in caps. But now I've started to notice how fucked Niji fans truly are. I think the specific incident that caused me to distance myself from Niji Twitter was when Squirmimi and Lilu got terminated unfairly from Globy, and Niji Twitter decided they felt no sympathy, self-admitted by them, for two people losing their job because one of them made a half-a-second long Niji bad joke. Once again, even Binted saw that this was fucked. I was also once harassed on Niji Twitter for being, quote, well-known Niji auntie pretending to like Niji now. This was before I came back here. Back when Jen supported the company, and frankly, it sucked. It felt very bad. I've recently, I almost read the wrong paragraph. And recently I've seen them downright harass Doki for damaging the company's reputation and has been saying the most horrid shit to her possible in the name to defend the company. And as someone who deals with both BPD and suicidal depression, it's been making me extremely uncomfortable for a really long time. I don't think this falls under the Rule 5 of pretending to advocate because I truly have been on both sides the entire time. What is Rule 5? No flaming, baiting, or trolling. Participate in discussion here in good faith. Do not flame, bait, troll, witch hunt, or spread unsubstantial accusation. Do not pretend to advocate something not believed in order to parody, make fun of, or try to stir up discourse with others. Okay. Because I truly have been on both sides the entire time, but I'm starting to reel a lot more Kurosanji now, just seeing how the fans react to the most mild of things, like blaming Doki for the whole PC thing. I still love my Oshis from within the company, mainly Rimu, but the fan space has become too toxic for me in good... what is the sentence? Mainly Rimu, but the fan space has become too toxic for me to, in good faith, support all of this anymore. Excuse the long text, I'm sure this will be removed by the mods, but I wanted to get it off my chest. This thread's kind of crazy. I kind of want to read the comments now. Nijisister isn't a term for a general fan. Yeah, see, this person's saying what we were saying. It's a label that they gave to themselves for the group of obsessive that insist that Nijisanji can do no wrong as a company. Yes, exactly. They hate anyone who has quit, labeling them as traitors or tricksters. Tricksters? I like this word. And insist that everyone is out to get them or the company. Anyone with a grievance is lying. Anyone that found their contract less than ideal was a shitty hire in the first place, etc., etc. They also like to pretend that they are diehard fans of the streamers, but that is often proven wrong by the above point if said streamer graduates or even interacts with someone they think threatens their own parasocial relationship with the streamer. Basically, they're full-on crazy and happily trapped in a weird feedback loop with each other, where they just drive themselves into a frothing rage over whatever attack on their community they've managed to invent most recently. A real Nijisister would never refer to themselves as a Nijisister. There are a lot of them in this sub. Believe me, you're not one of them. So what do you guys think? Is this an imposter? Oh. As far as I know, they refer to one another, at least used to, as sisters, no? That's where the name came from, back when they were still on the doxing site. They used to, yes, but now the term has a negative connotation. I didn't know they referred to each other as sisters back then. Some sisters see it as a slur even, so yeah. They used to, but then the crazier ones started pushing the narrative that sister is people calling them the N-word. Oh my god, I remember that. I believe they had a Discord, Nijisanji's sisters and brothers or something along those lines. I think this person just doesn't understand what a Nijisister is. Yeah, as others have mentioned, you're not a Nijisister, you're simply a fan who supports your Oshi. I understand and respect that, as I also support some of the talents. Vicky Martini, I am doing better, thank you. I feel like my voice has really cleared up, like I wouldn't have been able to speak so much on any other day. Okay, so for those unfamiliar, the term Nijisister has a straightforward origin. It was initially meant to convey a meaning similar to that of holobro. However, the term has evolved and become diluted, leading to a misinterpretation of its original intent. Originally, it referred to someone who merely watches Nijisanji or has an oshi within Nijisanji, nothing more. Unfortunately, the term is now often associated with a group of obsessive fans who believe that Nijisanji as a company can do no wrong and that their talents are infallible. That's how you say it, right? These fans often express disdain for anyone who has left the company, labeling them as traitors, and they insist that critics are simply out to harm them or the company. They dismiss anyone who raises legitimate grievance/problems as liars. And if a graduated talent interacts with someone they perceive as a threat, they will throw a fit and denounce them anyway or form. Infallible. Close enough. Oh yeah, talk about Nijisanji, there's another financial thingy. There's been a change in the upper management. Like really high up. Let me pull out the link. Yeah, Nijisanji financial report. So this guy, Yuko Maruyama, he's been promoted to outside director/audit and supervisory committee member. And we also have Riku Tazumi is still CEO. But two other, how do you say that? Like upper management retired. And Yuko Maruyama got a new title. I think that's just the biggest change to underline from that report. Is Iwanaga back? Riku Tazumi CEO, Shiniatsuri CFO. No, I don't think he's back. All right, what else should we talk about? Should we talk about the SAG-AFTRA stuff or the Offkai stuff? Offkai stuff. I don't really have a. Who has a good tweet that I can pull up? Just a yap. I need a tweet to put in the background while I yap over it. Shit, let me check my bookmarks. There's an Ilara tweet here. Oh, wait, my bad. Or I can just pull up the tweet. I can just pull up the tweet and then check the QRTs. How about that? So basically, Offkai. I'm Harney. What's up, Kiwasa? Thank you for the super chat. Oh, did you leave a message? Oh, we got a posture check redeemed from Seto. Thank you. And some hydrates. I will. Oh, Rima in Japan or Korea? Outside advisors and auditor is a role that has no power and is often given to someone when they're just pushed out of the inner circle of a company power structure. Wait, what? Really? So did this dude get pushed? Wait, not this dude. Not this. Did Yuko Maruyama get pushed out? I thought he got promoted, but it might be the opposite. Ooh, that's a rat I can get behind. It's a fluff job, I see. Promoted to irrelevance. I know, there's been some crazy updates on the SAG stuff. That's why I want to talk about it. So Offkai is very, very soon, okay? There's meet and greets. So they make this post saying meet and greets ID check, and ID will be checked before all meet and greets. Any valid form of government issued IDs will work. And that's caused massive outrage. Well, not all outrage, I guess. It's called, a better way to say this would be, it's caused massive discussion in the VTuber community. Oh, Pippa QRT'd that? I wanted to see what she said. And keep in mind, Offkai is like very close, right? They kind of just said that, and it's kind of blindsiding people. I will say that if you are doing meet and greets with a third party, like how I do them sometimes with Our Culture, for example, or Mosobox, then they've told us that they'll only check the IDs if you want them to be checked. So it's up to the creator. So Peepa says, I'm going to get shit for this, but I think this is to cut down on scalpers reselling meet and greet tickets, plus stalker weirdos. Yes, the VTuber is on the screen, but stalkers show up, feel emboldened by making the VTuber uncomfortable, and their behavior escalates. I can imagine especially some of the larger agency VTubers being concerned about this and potentially asking for some sort of system in place, but just a theory. So there's kind of two sides to this. I want to see if you... I hope somebody QRT'd the post that I'm trying to find about the Offkai volunteers. All right, I'll just yap in the meantime. But basically, there's a lot of conventions that require ID. This is not really a new thing. But I think people are getting cold feet about Offkai because in the past, we've had, you know, negative experiences with the Offkai volunteers. And I think this probably wouldn't, this level of concern probably wouldn't happen if it was with another con. But we've had, you know, some weirdos lately on the volunteer staff that have made some unhinged statement online, which is making some people lose trust in the Offkai staff. I haven't experienced that Offkai, but I've had to do ID checks at other conventions, but I can see how it can get more complicated for the VTuber scene. I think an ID check isn't all too bad of an idea. Yeah, I think in theory it shouldn't be a bad idea. I think people are more concerned about how this could be maliciously used by some Offkai volunteers who have some kind of hidden agenda, and there's a VTuber that they don't like, for example. For example, they don't like Pippa. And then they, they ID check one of her fans that's going to her meet and greet, and they could potentially be like, well, I hate this guy, I see him on Twitter all the time, so I'm gonna dox him. So they've had some problem with Kersha, they've had some problems with Pippa. We've had this one Offkai volunteer that was let go kind of recently, I think, because he made some statements about Face Connect and how Sakana had to buy out Face Connect. I wish I could pull up this tweet. Oh, Sayu's here. I think the ID thing can be a good thing, but in general, God, the staff, ever since year one, nope. Hi! Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying too. So I understand both sides here. I understand both sides. I understand that this is a concern for many, but I also understand that a lot of people that do the con circuits, they're kind of just used to carrying their ID around. You need to have trust in the staff. Like, I was talking about going to a con in person, and the staff would have gotten my ID if I ended up going there. Finally, it didn't work. Like, the dates didn't line up. But if it did work, I mean, I would have been entirely at the mercy of the staff, because they would have seen my government name and all of that. So yeah, it is a little bit spooky when you're a VTuber. But you just have to trust that people are going to be professional about it. Now the question comes down to whether or not this staff can be professional about it. And I think this is where the opinion differs largely. It's not about a question of whether or not you would have your ID on you or not. You would have your ID, but you probably wouldn't show your ID to many people. I enjoy the convention. It's just really unfortunate. I've seen a lot of staff for cons, and man, we have a winner. Yeah. I know. Yeah. It just sucks that because Offkai is, I mean, it's cool that we have a VTuber convention. It's rare, and it could do so much for the scene. It just sucks that there's been so much bad press about it. Muujin! I wouldn't trust an Offkai staff member with a cheeseburger, bro. Muujin, I was just going to talk to, you think he spit on your cheeseburger? I was gonna talk about your video and the stuff you've been tweeting. It's crazy! I've never seen that YouTube thing you posted. I've never seen this message before. I'm trying to find Namujin's tweet without exposing my DMs. There's like a lot of spicy fan art in it right now. So Mujin made a video that I want to watch, by the way, about SAG-AFTRA. And Mujin's video is special because he got some exclusive information, some exclusive DMs, I believe, from my understanding, from somebody for it. So it's cool. It's brand new information. But they've been mass reporting his video, and they don't want their names tied to this mess. We'll probably have to blur their surnames so that the video doesn't get taken down. So make sure to keep records about who's doing this. And he actually received like an email from YouTube support saying, "Hi Mujin, would like to inform you that we have received a privacy concern about your content. Before we review the content, we would like to give you an opportunity to review and if necessary modify or remove any potential private information within the reported content." But I don't get it. Was there the real government names on these DMs, and were these names public before? And here Mujin tweets, "Well, it didn't take long. SAG-AFTRA voice actors extremists, along with a negotiating committee member, are trying to actively take down my video by mass reporting it. They're scared, and it shows." This is Streisand effect in full force. Because Mujin's video is now ranked number 11 worldwide on YouTube, I believe. Well, I'm gonna Offkai next week, so wish me luck. Gambate. VA extremist is so funny, but it's actually accurate to describe these people. Their immediate reaction is to continue being clowns. True. I've created a step-by-step guide to reporting a violation of your privacy on YouTube. I'd highly recommend that anyone whose full names were included in the video to fill it in a report. Note if your full name and or likeness and or other uniquely identifiable information was not shared in this video, YouTube will not take action on it, unfortunately. Interesting, especially because I do post with my full name. Only other full names I saw from skimming were people who had tweets and Blue Sky posts screenshotted. Report, report, report. You can report somebody for a Blue Sky post? There's no way, right? There's no way. Would you mind sharing who they were so folks don't have to watch the full video? This guy is a joke. Everything in this video is wrong. Also want to know how much the employer lawyer makes, lol. Mujin should replace them. He can do VA work. I've seen his French video. Envoy! Thank you so much for the 1 month. Thank you, thank you. I like these two comments. Truly amazing how good these VA are at making things worse for themselves. This will only backfire on them. True, Hero High. And Tectone. Get me every name that's falsely reporting you. I'll take care of it. I love this. It's all about this video with leaked DMs. Were these leaked DMs too? Or was this in a pub? Like, what happened? How did he get those DMs? What else did Mujin tweet? See, number 11 trending for gaming. Ooh la la. Siri, I'm not talking to you. They just never learn, man. Kaylee, this was never about invading a safe space. This was about exposing a suicidal agenda by SAG-AFTRA committee members that was only talked about being closed doors. It's about facing accountability, a skill that you seem to lack. This person, Jennifer Hale, said transparency is good. Healing is most important. This has been an incredibly difficult and divisive time. There is much work to do to put our community and our industry back together. And then Kaylee responds, you are enabling drama tubers and making people in your community feel unsafe, airing their frustrations while trying to navigate a really tough situation in a private space. I really hope you simply didn't understand how harmful this could be. You are hurting your community. Jennifer has removed her tweets on the matter. She said there was some deeply concerning behavior by some committee members during the strike. But SAG is still one of our strongest guardrails for good wages and working conditions. I removed the video from my timeline so as not to fan the flames and give space for the community to work this out. I'm for reform and repair, not for burning the house down. It is okay to disagree in good conscience. I believe almost everyone did what they firmly believed was right, and coming together to make space for all our diverse perspective is important for healing. Okay, I don't know who this person is, but she seems like she has a really good head on her shoulder. Yeah. I kind of really liked her words. She seems like a wise person. Oh, she's one of the biggest VAs in the industry? Well, there you go. That's probably why. She's a legendary voice actor. Wow. She's voiced like a million characters. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, she was Jane Shepard in Mass Effect. Yeah, it's very concerning that there's, like she said, there was some concerning behavior by some committee members during the strike. And I think, you know, it's bad. It's bad for the people because when you're in a committee, you have to try to find the win-win condition for both parties. But if certain people on the committee don't want that, then you're never going to advance. You're always going to be stuck in a standstill. I fangirled once on Twitter when she responded to me ages ago. Oh my god, congrats! Congrats. She seems super level-headed. Super level-headed. I'm thinking we can watch the Muujin video just to get the entire context. Oh! Nice. Nice, thank you, Lumi. Okay, let me just, before we watch the video, let me just tie back to the Offkai. I found the tweet I was looking for. Lumi sent it to me because I typed in chat. I was like, guys, I need this. The previous Offkai AV exec. Okay, so it wasn't a volunteer. It was an executive? Started seething so hard at me, bringing up that a current Offkai staff member is openly racist. Okay, I'm refreshing my memory right now. This is, okay, it's worse than I remembered. Holy shit. They just went ahead and admitted in public that they did try to get rid of Pippa, but were bought out by Fishman. These people will not stop trying to get rid of those who do not strictly adhere to their politics, yet they won't even uphold their own standards if you offer to pay them enough. The only point seems to be power over others plus virtue signaling. It was never the volunteers, it was the staff. But that dude ended up stepping down, didn't he? Fishman is Sakana, the CEO of Face Connect. So this guy called Soundwave is the person she's speaking about in the tweet. You tried to guest at a con that from year one had trans staff and guests, and you're surprised pronoun jokes were a deal breaker. You're a unique brand of stupid, But Electric Rabbit, blame Fishman. We tried to bar her and were bowed out. Bro, imagine admitting that on social media. That's so unprofessional. We tried to bar her and were bought out. Wow. That Soundwave person was fired and quit in 2023. Oh god, okay. He quit a long time ago. Oh, so he's making tweets about it 2 years later? Like, full on YOLO? It's a bit of a weird feeling having things come together so quickly. I think the AV team that's coming together for Offkai Expo this year is going to kill it, and that I have a little place on it, let alone running it. Happy to have been the stopgap. Okay, this is from 2023. Got it. And then in 2023, he says, seriously considering resigning from Offkai. Kind of boggles me that someone hasn't called for it. People using the, quote, VTuber community as if they hasn't already been segregated. They? What is this guy on about? Is he talking when she made the R-word joke? Oh, come on. Give me a fucking break. She hasn't been segregated. Robbie Rise. Anger. Rawr. Thank you for the Twitch sub. I appreciate it. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, all y'all want to do is tear each other apart, and I don't even know why I care anymore. I do know why. I feel obligated to as an Offkai exec, and I also want to share a good thing with as many people as possible, but like, I can just do my thing and go home and enjoy it myself. I can actually just stop giving a shit. Should I listen to you sooner? You have fallen. VTuber is a slur. Yo, whoa, chill out. Oh, that was last year when the whole thing was going down. In 2024, Spins Wheel, Straub and Rev beef with Spins Wheel, Offkai on behalf of Spins Wheel, Kershaw. Get fucked, loser. And guest of honor, and anybody with an average of more than 2 brain cells working at any given time. Really? But go off. After looking through the evidence, the picture seems clear. Offkai has blacklisted Kershaw from hosting a panel to serve the sensibilities of a few volunteers who intentionally scanned her account looking for offensive tweets. What does he mean by and guests of honors? Hangout space and off-topic conversation in Offkai, and this is about Vom's project. And Soundwave response, I was hoping we'd be able to live this down, but karma's a bitch, ain't it? Are these execs, like, paid, or are they also unpaid execs? I can't see what this notice is about. Thank you for your continued support of Vom's project. We regret to inform you that amount of wait, this is about Pikami! Wait, he responded to a Pikami graduation notice saying, I was hoping we'd be able to live this down, but karma's a bitch? Oh, they're unpaid execs. Yes, I remember that in 2024 when the whole thing went down, I feel like they said that they were unpaid. May she have the best month of her career. And then it's supposed from Amano Pikami. I'm not sure what this is supposed to showcase. Is he being sarcastic? Everyone is unpaid in Offkai. Jeez. Wait, so we've had this discussion before because I'm getting a deja vu. But because I have a goldfish memory, we're going to have the discussion again. Does it work like that for every con? I get it. Offkai is a small con. But goddamn. Is it all run on unpaid staff? Hey, no worries, Ellie. I try. Not all cons are unpaid staff. I mean, if you're not going to pay your staff, you're never... I mean, you get what you pay for with everything in life. And if you pay $0, well, you're going to get zero. I mean, you're going to get people that go above and beyond, but... you don't really get to put your foot down and be like, yo, you don't... you can't do that. You have chaos. But maybe they can afford it. I don't really know the intricacies of what goes on behind the scene at Offkai. I'm not going to pretend I do. But, you know, you can't just slap them with a contract and be like, yo, here's an NDA, here's this, here's that, you're not allowed to do this. Everybody's going to be like, well, I'm here to have fun. Fuck you, then. I'm not going to work. Had friends that volunteered at AX and Anime LA for the free ticket. Oh, they could probably do it for free tickets. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, TBH. Look. I don't think all unpaid staff are going to do crap work. Like, I was an intern once. If you're passionate about what you're doing, you're going to go above and beyond. The people that do my meet and greets, I don't know if they're paid or not, but I feel like there's a lot of helpers there, and they're so fucking cool. They're so professional. They're there the entire day on their feet, making sure everybody's having a good time. So these are not Offkai staff, but it's just an example of, you know, I think unpaid workers, if they're passionate about what they're doing, you can still get good people. The people that will be taking those volunteer positions will have other motives for taking the opportunity. That's the cost for them not being compensated with cash. Yes, and yeah, that can happen too. Like, absolutely, absolutely. That is that is definitely something at play here. It doesn't pay our employees confirmed. True, my mods are all unpaid. Sad. It is a disservice to all the volunteers doing their best all day for no cash, because I'm sure there's some good people working there, and it's being outshined by people like the Soundwave guy. The bully people who are playing Hogwarts Legacy thing got bad way too far. Shouldn't even be a thing, but no, not just blocking the streamer and moving on was enough. Wait, so this guy is saying, don't bully people who are playing Hogwarts Legacy. The bully people who are playing Hogwarts Legacy thing got bad. Way too far. Shouldn't even be a thing, but no. Not just block. He's saying you should have just blocked and moved on. Wait, there's... I don't see what this is. I don't understand what this is supposed to showcase. Maybe we're supposed to look at that Eva person. Another thing an acquaintance pointed out to me, the VOMs shared the fact of P's graduation with their organizing partner of the VOMs third Annie pop-up store in advance. Things like this take months to plan. Lay that out on a timeline and think. This event will be planned and implemented after we shared the Pikami graduation with Maru in advance, and they said they would love to send us off together. Rumor mill, a grain of salt as per usual. Are they saying... They're saying it's not because of the harassment that she's graduating? Is that what it is? Oh. But a reasonable point. Unfortunately, I believe the original Japanese only says to the effect of the event will be planned with the graduation in mind. was shared with them in advance of the announcement, not carrying the translation's implication that this wasn't necessarily a sudden occurrence. Yeah, that's fair. She did say in her video description that Japanese is king on any wording, which obviously I cannot read, so. The literal phrasing of the clause in Japanese is as Pikami's graduation was shared in advance with Marui, and we received that. They said, of course, they'd send her off together. Similar tense errors in the next paragraph are also not present in the Japanese. It's ambiguous, but I can't speak. I do. I'm dying. I have cough syrup. I have cough syrup, but it tastes gross. It's ambiguous, but we just talked to them and changed our plans is an admissible interpretation as far as my knowledge of Japanese serves me. I fear so much for trans VTubers. A bunch ended up graduating because of the harassment. And now people are going to use this as a new way to harass them. This is actually a big effing yikes. Oh, they're posting Tenma's post. For management decision to clarify the bullies, get the rope, you fucking idiots. I don't know, but this tweet is very dangerous just looking at the QRTs. I mean, Tenma's tweet was definitely directed at the people who harassed Pikami because she was a big fan of Pikami. It was directed at people who harassed her. If you're anti-harassment of any kind, you should understand that. Well, I personally will not have advice for that tweet. I don't really blame her for having that sentiment of fuck the bullies. See, that person is kind of where I'm at there. I believe Tenma did end up removing that tweet, by the way. Probably because other people were piggybacking off this tweet to send a lot of hatred. From the Offkai director's DMs with Kershaw, he said that people that caused the issue with Pippa left last year. That was 2024. True! I remembered that. Memory unlocked. Memory unlocked. You have a good memory. I 100% believe that Hogwarts Legacy bullies or why Gigi got some blowback for coming out as asexual. Because now all LGBT are linked with them in VTubing. Some of it for sure. Some of it is just fear that whole life will become quote unquote woke. I don't think Gigi was trying to do any kind of woke statement when she said that. I think she was genuinely it was just the first time that she thought about her sexuality, and she said that, and she kind of just said it candidly. And nowadays there's a word for it, I guess, for not being sexually attracted to people, and she used it, so now people are upset with it. I think it was a nothing burger. And the word woke means so many things different. I realized that it's used by different people in many different ways, and not everybody has the same definition of it. And it kind of makes sense that Gigi is asexual. Like, I mean, I kind of got those. I think everybody got those vibes from her. Like, I don't really see her having any kind of, you know, sexual thoughts about anybody. You know. There has been a word for not being attracted for years. I first heard it in a welcoming over a decade ago. All right, well, not try to expose my age here, right? I'm trying to LARP as somebody young. Okay. All right, these were the DMs with the Offkai dude with Kersha. And this is where Lysander says the people who had caused this issue with Pippa left us last year as well. So our attendance last year was 1,853 people. It seems like people being petty, possibly the same people who didn't want Pippa to be there previously. But I am an easier mark to get rid of since I do not have the backing of a company, much less a company that sponsors so much of Offkai. And then he responds, the people who had caused the issue with Pippa left us last year as well. So our attendance last year was 1,853. This was in 2024. And the dude, the Soundwave guy, would have left in 2023. So this actually lines up like super well. And this is the proof where they say that they're all unpaid, I think. So, hi, thank you for taking the time to talk with me. Thank you as well. This whole situation blindsided me at the tail end of my vacation. Sorry for interrupting you at your vacation like this. I guess I'll just start with the what about ex-party situation. If you're referring to who I think you are, yes, they were part of our event last year. But that was before everything went down. Ooh, are they referring to that same guy? Is it still the Soundwave guy? Oh my god, we're drawing all these dots, guys. We chose this year to not continue to work with them. Also, they chose to continue not to work with them. So it wasn't the other guy who resigned. Interesting. We aren't all know of each group. What is the sentence? Am I just reading this wrong? We aren't all know of each group or person we work with and try to do some basic screening, but sometimes things just don't get found. Our organization is made up of all volunteers from pretty much every background you can think of. No one is getting paid. Okay, no one's getting paid. That's it. Yeah, no one's getting paid at all. So a lot of the difficulties of managing 100+ people is making sure our team feels comfortable, conformable. I think it means comfortable, guys, not conformable. Giving up their free time to help us. We have members on staff who are fans of you and your work and other members who are not. I think it is fair to say that you're a bit controversial with a lot of your takes, especially for a staff largely based in California. During the pitch phase, we talked with the panelists about topic and people they want to work with and clear it with our staff first. And in this case, we didn't know till everything was already in motion last week, basically. There's a lot of volunteers involved in working either directly or indirectly with every guest and panelist. And it isn't exactly fair for us to ask them to do something they're not comfortable with. Yeah, they're kind of at the mercy of their volunteers, is what he's saying. We are in a difficult spot of managing guest, panelist, staff, industry expectation, balancing them all. So that's what led us to asking that you don't participate in the panel. We did get a list. Wait, they're asking her to not participate in the panel, or they're telling her that she's not gonna make it to the panel? I feel like she doesn't really have a choice, but he's phrasing it like she does. We did get a list of screenshots that made staff uncomfortable. If you do wish to see some of them, they're mostly tweets that you made in the past. The money goes, where does the money goes? I actually asked that exact same question to one of my friends, and what she answered, she's somebody that's like, that knows a lot more about cons than me. I think it was Shock Mommy. Love her. You should check out her channel if you can. But she basically said that the venue cost a shit ton. The venue cost, like, that's where most of the money goes for, especially if it's a California venue. They're extremely expensive. Okay, I need some cough syrup now. Oh god. This one tastes so bad. I had another one that tasted good. This one is really bad. 2 ding dong for me. Why you? Wayu's in the safe part of California, I think. Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. California has been going crazy lately. Wayu made me think. Do you like Tinkaton from Pokemon, Wayu? I saw you were doing a Nuzlocke the other day, but I think you're doing the retro Nuzlocks. Oh, he was fired. I was fired. It's not exactly a secret. Why the fuck would you admit to this? Because Offkai can handle their own dirty laundry. Certainly an interesting choice to advertise yourself as a liability. I was fired. It's not exactly a secret. That's my point. It is in your best interest to further validate their decision? I mean, it's probably irrelevant, really, but it supports my point that I've spoken to and operated by consistent principles throughout. It was a secret until just now, actually. Really wasn't, for sure. I mean, like, I mean, this dude... this dude single-handedly put the bad label or vindicated all of people's fear about Offkai execs and Offkai volunteers by doing these tweets. Basically, he's just saying, well, I got fired, you know, and I wasn't paid, so fuck Offkai. They can handle their own dirty laundry, so fuck them, you know? So he's just gonna turn around and whatever, he's exposing them or showing their own dirty laundry, like he's saying. It's kind of dumb, and I guess this is the result of unpaid labor, but then again, maybe Offkai just can't do anything about it, so it's screwed. California conventions are pretty expensive to get off the ground, was told by a couple people who vend the bigger ones at boofies can go up to 5 to 6K. Yeah. Like, a lot of Cali doesn't even care to think about politics too. I'm not involved at all, and I never speak to local friends about it either. I 100% believe you. I feel like most people aren't super politic brains. Like, most people are just normal and try to You know, if you are into politics, that's fine. But I know that most people just, they're just trying to live their life, trying to live normal life, and that is the case whether you live in a blue state or a red state. Yeah, exactly. People just here see the loud ones, but it's true about anywhere. Exactly. Okay, now let's watch the Mugen video because I'm fucking dying in here, guys. Let's go. I don't care about politics. I vote Rima on every election, no matter where it is or what it is about. Let's go. Yeah, I think you're in NorCal, so you're safe from the riots. I think that's pretty far. Aquarake, though. He needs to be safe right now. Beard bike driving away from the LA riots. Bro, dude. Careful. Yeah, like I have family in California and they are so far away from all of that. Yes, it is very quiet up there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Aqua was near the first ride a few days ago. Like, for example, I didn't even know what the riots were for. Like, Aquarake had to, like, explain it to me. And I still didn't know what the riots were for were about yesterday. Like, I thought it was about clothing. Yeah, I thought they were revolting about clothing. Remember, you know, when I hear Roland now, I think about the most famous host in Japan. Oh, Saya, you weren't there when we went through that article, but somebody sent me an article about this dude that used to live in a cardboard box, and he became a very high earning host in Japan. And then this led us to finding another article about the #1 host in Japan. His name is Roland. And he, dude is so fucking rich. He's got women spending like $500,000 in a single night on him. He only lives in hotels. He could afford a house, but it doesn't fit his lifestyle, so he only lives in a hotel. And he only drinks the finest liquor. He has several luxury cars. I don't fucking know how he stores them since he doesn't have a house. But he's got a ton of plastic surgery. Like, his face looks uncanny valley. Yeah, like, I don't know where he's storing these cars if he's moving from hotel to hotel. But he like goes and he's went on shows, on TV shows. He's been interviewed a lot. I think he's been interviewed by the Anime Man or Trash Taste. That's what my chat told me. He does have a house. In that article I read, he said that he doesn't live in a house because it doesn't fit his lifestyle, not because he couldn't afford it. He's like blonde and he has a weird face. Yeah, he's got this he has these ojos that like apparently a lot of his clientele are also other girls that work in the nightlife industry or in the host industry, or they're like college girls and stuff. And I was like, how the fuck does a college girl can afford that? But I guess, you know, Japan's been cracking down on, I think they passed a law recently on host clubs. Oh man, my Discord's bugged right now. On host clubs, because what they would do is that some of these hosts would like swindle girls into spending tons of money on one night, and then the girls couldn't pay up, and then they would force them into prostitution. So now they're not allowed to do that. Thankfully, somebody had to put a stop to this because it's kind of messed up. Oh, but talking about paying somebody for love. Okay, one last thing before we watch the Mujin video. I'm very curious what you guys think of this. Do you guys know about the manga Rent a Girlfriend? I think this is a good segue. Have you guys read the manga Rent a Girlfriend? So I suppose at the conclusion of the manga, yes, this is a spoiler. This is a spoiler. Sorry, spoiler alert. Everybody's talking about it on Twitter. It's being very divisive. I will sorry. I don't read rom-coms. So I haven't read that. But it sparked a lot of discussion online. Because there's a conclusion of it happened, and well, spoiler alert, the girl rejects him. And the story is about this guy that's, you know, renting a girlfriend, you know, paying for love. He helped her achieve her life dream. The tweet says, bro helped her achieve her life dream, paid her rent, paid her food, gave her emotional support when needed, yet he got rejected. Bro never had a chance. And people are very upset. They need to axe this manga after this. Yeah, people are like, dude, my escapism. But then some other people are like, well, what did you expect, you know? It's, well, let me find another tweet that's like an opposite opinion. Oh, there you go. Yo, my computer is hella lagging. Wait a minute. Maybe I shouldn't show you guys that. Thank you, Aligraza, for the super chat. Yeah, nice stabs. I know, Sayu. If there's anything to say about this manga is that please remember that relationships aren't transactional. Just because you like someone doesn't mean they'll respond in kind. Also, him spending 250k on her when her job is to be a sugar baby is ridiculous. He deserves this. Some people are saying, dude deserves this. What did he expect? She's basically, I mean, it's kind of like falling in love with a prostitute. And, you know, paying her for her time and then expecting her to love you back. It's kind of like if I went and I spent 500k on Roland, the #1 host in Japan, and expected him to fall in love with me. But, I mean, he's probably doing this to 20 other women. I can get her out of that life. The whole thing began as a transactional fake relationship. You meant you haven't already? I don't have that kind of money. Based on a real story by Charlie. And what's even more so interesting is that we were talking about it in the anime and manga channel in my Discord, is that the author is actually in love with this, I want to say virtual girlfriend, because we're so used to saying virtual, but she's not even virtual. She's like a drawing. This he's in love with this character, this female character he's created. He's saying, Shizuru is my girlfriend, says Rent-A-Girlfriend author, while Reiji writes on Twitter, this girl is my beautiful girlfriend and her name is Shizuru Mizuhara. She's a very kind girl and she always forgives me in the end, even if she gets really mad at me afterwards. And apparently he has drawings of her plastered everywhere in his bedroom. Yeah, fictional character, that would have been the right word. And well, at least it's his own work of art, so you know I can kind of respect that. But also he's married. He's just like me for real with all of my Gojo posters. So knowing that, then it makes sense that you know, she rejected him. Maybe bro just wanted to leave her single so he'd have a chance. You know, the author was like, I gotta self-insert. Sorry, bro. You can't end up with my future fictional wife. And the worst part is that apparently the guy in the manga... Look, I didn't read the manga. So you guys can give me your comments on it in the chat, in the comment section. But there was a girl that was actually chasing after the MC, like the main character. But he rejected her. He rejected her in favor of her because he wanted to chase her instead. That girl. So, what is the takeaway from this anime? Like from this manga? That's what I'm trying to understand. What is the takeaway with this ending? What is the purpose of this manga? What is the message the author is trying to tell us? You know what I mean? True, the point of the romance of a rom-com is for the characters to end up romancing, but the dude got cucked. The takeaway is don't expect to buy love? Relationships aren't supposed to be transactional? Money doesn't buy love, I guess. Draw your own wife, yeah, maybe. The author be like me and me only while you can sit down on that cock chair while I enjoy all the glory for myself. Yeah, the girl could have told him all right in chapter 5, but yeah, I mean, she needed money. She needed to pay those bills. She needed the rent. Apparently, she has like a dream of becoming the star, and he wants to become a manager to help her accomplish the dream. I mean, there could have been another ending. It could have been that, because they're kind of using each other, I believe. Because he needs to pretend that he has a girlfriend for this event, and she needs that from him too. So maybe they could have bonded? ? I don't know. I don't know. This is why I like my battle shonens. Okay, Blue Lock is superior. The takeaway is that gambling meme he needs to keep spending. He's almost at the jackpot. True. He's almost there. Just keeps putting coins in the machine, in the girl, and eventually something will come out. The MC is awful and I'm glad he lost. Were you just hate reading the manga this entire time? What the fuck? He spent 250k and she ends up saying, but considering my current lifestyle, my work and everything else, I just don't think this is something I can jump into right now. Bose, sorry. Oof. Oof. That's a murder in 4K.
I'm horny.
I'm horny. All right. It's still better than what is known as Bishoujo controversy, the phenomenon of otaku manga fans having a real mental meltdown when they found out the female character they like was not a virgin. Yeah, you can't get lower than that. And Zippy Zap saying the author being into Shizuru reminds me of people who have another phone for love and deep space. No fucking way. I mean, kind of smart, but that's a lot of money just to play Love and Deep Space. Yes, that's the, classic rom-com. I like Kaguya-sama, Love is War. That's the kind of rom-com I like. That was funny. Oh, really, Yui? You made a video about this. That's so cool. Rent a girlfriend. Oh, okay. You made a video on Rent a Girlfriend. That's cool. Cool. I'll go check it out. Wise but Dr. Mirin. Thank you so much for the resub, Dr. Mirin. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Love is War was so great. Oshinoko, I heard, was really good, and it's also on my list. Okay. Now let's watch the Mujin video. You got the gooning phone. They've got their gooning phones. I've got my anonymous tab. My incognito tabs were not the same. Mujin. Okay, let's watch this.
Full of entitled voice actors ruined the SAG-AFTRA video game strike overnight. Honestly, I was expecting not just them to hate me, but
I like
all
this
the
music.
voice actors combined. Because this video didn't just talk about how a few voice actors were entitled and very annoying, it also criticized SAG-AFTRA, the union behind the strike, and their sometimes very weird, counterproductive behavior. And of course,
True
I also
emulator.
criticized the strike itself, which was handled very poorly by SAG-AFTRA with minimal transparency, all while encouraging these entitled and unprofessional voice actors to continue doing what they're doing, which was ruining the reputation of all voice actors. That was until a few weeks after I uploaded that video when a friend of mine reached out to me. This friend of mine in particular happens to know dozens of voice actors who voice for games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Xenoblade
he's
Zero,
connected.
and many anime dubs. And they proceeded to tell me that these voice actors actually loved my video. But then, as I
Really?
was shocked by the statement,
Wow.
they took it a step further, telling me that whenever a voice actor was confused about the strike, they would send them my video as the explanation, which I thought was crazy. Now, as you can
Damn.
imagine, I was blushing like a teenage girl who met their favorite K-pop idol. But that unfortunately didn't last long, because the morbid reality hit me in the face. And that reality is the fact that there are voice actors paying $3,000 to join SAG-AFTRA, all while paying them a percentage of their yearly income to stay in the union, and SAG-AFTRA couldn't even do the bare minimum and explain to them the strike that they're in, to the point where these voice actors have to go to this dumbass's channel in order to understand what the hell's going on in a
Mujin's channel.
strike they're supposedly a part of. But as ridiculous as this already is, today things have gotten worse and the
That's
stakes have
nuts.
never been higher. US-based voice actors are being ditched in favor of overseas voice actors, and SAG-AFTRA for a while was not budging.
That's really bad. That's really bad for American VAs, and it's gonna make the support drop super fast.
Receiving the best, last, and final offer and stating that they were going to send yet another counteroffer, risking the entire industry. Every voice actor was shouting at the top of their lungs, "Please end the strike so we can get
Oh,
back to work. It's been
boy.
10 months. I'm about to be homeless." But SAG-AFTRA took a ridiculously long time to finally budge and only did so on June 9th, 2025. That's more than 1 month since receiving the final best and last offer. And you have to wonder why. Well, thanks to an anonymous source, we don't have to wonder anymore. I was given a series of messages from members of the negotiating committee of SAG-AFTRA, clearly stating multiple times that they had no intentions on ending the strike anytime soon. Here's an example of someone on the...
See, I feel like they're not working in the best interest of the people they're supposed to represent, and that's my issue. I don't necessarily have an issue with unions. I know a lot of people are like, burn all unions to the ground. Well, if we didn't have any unions, then a lot of the legislations and, you know, the wages that we've got wouldn't be there. Like if for example, one industry that's very heavily unionized is like the movie industry. If you guys remember, like back then in Hollywood, the way they were treated was fucking horrid. They used to kill, like, there was one movie that they filmed, they killed like hundreds of horses in one set. I still think about it at night sometimes. I think it's horrible when I think about it. And, well, now you're not allowed to do that because of unions. And then there's some unions that really push their fucking luck. And yeah, of course, unions, you're supposed to pay a yearly fee because, well, they're not working for free. But they're supposed to represent your best interest, and $3,000 is one heck of a hefty fee. I mean, if you're not, yeah, it was Ben-Hur, that's the movie. If you're not working a lot, $3,000 is a shit ton of money. So they better make it worth your while. Yes, horses are sacred to Rima.
Negotiating committee sending this message shortly after my video came out, saying, "We are in the middle of a bargaining session, but some outside parties have engaged in a campaign to influence performers and we need to address it. Please look for a link from SAG-AFTRA in the morning." And when they say campaign to influence performers, they mean, oh, someone is telling the performers the truth, which makes performers want to end the strike and get back to work. We need to address this.
What?
Even going as far as encouraging other voice actors in that private Discord to not vote yes on ending the strike if a vote is ever held. Yep, you heard that right. Someone who's meant to stay impartial for the sake of the greater good, influencing other people to change their vote. These same negotiating committee members are being celebrated right now for being able to finally end the strike when in reality they never had any intentions to do so. On Twitter, I hinted that a video like this is coming on the 11th. What followed quickly afterwards...
I'm getting an aneurysm because I'm now thinking of all the other unions that are striking right now that are like triggering me. Like right now in Canada, I'm about to go like on a massive crash out. Fucking Canada Post has been on strike on and off for fucking months, man. What do they want? What do they want, dude? What more do they want? I feel like they're getting paid well. They're getting paid well than more than most jobs. Now it's starting again. And it's affecting a bunch of small businesses. I'm getting heart palpitations. I'm just gonna keep playing the video.
Was the Discord going on lockdown? They're worried, and they should be. And if you thought this wasn't enough, SAG-AFTRA's website was inaccessible to anyone that didn't have a US-based IP. They're getting...
True, I did try to... When Mugen tweeted that, I checked, and I also couldn't access the website from Canada.
Gradually more scared of outside influence, and when you watch this video, you'll understand why. So without further ado, let's do this. But first, a sponsor that doesn't have an annoying mascot in their game. Nostalgia is a funny thing. You might have grown up with video games, but they just don't hit the same anymore today. You look back at when League of Legends or World of Warcraft first launched. The excitement, the hype, the memories.
Did he get the same sponsor
today,
I did?
Nothing hits the same. Well, you're not the only one who thinks that. That's why a team of developers got together to develop Corepunk.
Oh no, that's Corepunk. Okay. I got a Corepunk sponsor a while ago.
That combines elements from the OG World of Warcraft and League of Legends to create an MMORPG with PvE and PvP elements. It's still in early access, but they just released a massive update. You can now trade gear on a global marketplace with other players. A new class, the Defender, just came out, wielding a sword and a shield and bringing in classic tanking capabilities with a lot of combos. And of course, you have Prison Island, a PvP and PvE survival dungeon where you try to grab as much loot as you can and escape. And this is without me mentioning the new dungeons coming soon, as well as the
It looks
Battlegrounds
really
mode
good.
that features 12 versus 12 PvP gameplay. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure to click the link in the
It
description.
kinda looks
or
like
the pinned
League and
comment to
All
join
Beyond
Corepunk
merged
Early
together.
Access today. Thank you, Corepunk, for sponsoring this video. Alright, so on July 26, 2024, the video game strike had begun. The main reason centered around it was AI protections for voice actors. But as we saw in my last video, the contract they want signed is pretty damn long and has way more
I don't know
than just
yet
AI
about
protections.
Anime Expo,
Like how,
but
for
I'll
example,
try.
They want to make it very hard to hire non-union actors, people who are not a part of SAG-AFTRA. And if you do, you need SAG-AFTRA's direct approval, which can take a long time. And even if they give it, there's a time limit as to how much the voice actor can work for you before they are forced to join the union. Seeing that all these demands were not straightforward at all, the strike was not making much progress even 8 months after they had started. One of the games that was most affected was Genshin Impact, since it's a live service game. They have a set schedule with set updates which have voiced story missions. And little by little, you started seeing a lot of characters being muted. But hey, the community was fully supportive even though their story content was not being voiced. They wanted voice actors to get what was best for them. And no one really questioned the strike. No one really pointed out how SAG-AFTRA was fighting against AI while signing agreements with AI companies at the same time. These things were not on anyone's radar until March 26, 2025, when Jacob Takanashi, a Japan-based voice actor who has nothing to do with SAG-AFTRA, took on the role of Kinich, a Genshin Impact character from a striking voice actor who was not voicing the character for months. This resulted in a handful of very loud and unprofessional voice actors to attack him publicly, dogpiling him, sometimes going as far as pocket watching him, saying that he had bought a house recently.
Oh god, it's Kaylee.
And other times being literally community noted. There was even one instance
Kaylee Mills is crazy,
where a voice actor said, "Hey guys, I'm looking to recruit someone for a voice acting role, except that one guy," referring to Jacob Takanashi. It was later revealed that Jacob had no idea a strike was even going on, something that was very embarrassing for all these weird unprofessional voice actors. But of course, no one embarrassed themselves more than the voice actor behind Paimon, the character that talks the most in Genshin Impact. If I had to hire someone, to destroy the reputation of a strike, I would hire Corinna. Give Corinna a 6-figure salary because I know Corinna will do an amazing job in this regard.
Okay, like muted too, she looks and sounds unhinged. We watched that video. She was so heated. She was so heated.
Posting this unhinged rant, calling everyone out and losing all community support, while also telling everyone that, oh, Paimon is still voiced actually because I'm handicapped, I need to pay medical bills. But this made everyone take a step back and think, wait, so you took on a job for money, right? So Jacob is doing it, what, for fun? He's doing it for money too! And this was one of many incidents highlighting how hypocritical Corinna and the other entitled voice actors were. Meanwhile, SAG-AFTRA, instead of denouncing this unprofessional behavior, decided to directly participate by tagging Hoya vs. Games on Twitter and telling them that they should discuss things. The final chapter of this incident was when Joe Zieha, a voice actor for Genshin Impact and many other things, made a video explaining the strike once and for all. And in it, around the 4-minute and 31-second mark, he said that Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai Star Rail, and any game under Hoyoverse was not in any way, shape, or form part of the strike. That these voice actors—
Thank you, Lily Legend. I did watch some of this guy video, and he seems and sounds very knowledgeable.
were striking in solidarity with the strike, but this was not part of the strike to begin with. This was the final nail in the coffin, especially for the Genshin Impact community. Not only was their support waning for the cause of these voice actors, but they just realized that this was never part of the strike. They missed out on voiced characters for nothing. This realization made these voice actors that participated in this very unprofessional behavior get flooded with hate comments. No matter what they posted, their reputation was permanently tarnished. So they all became refugees and permanently switched to Blue Sky. And that became, and I don't use this word lightly, their echo chamber. Here's why. Here's a voice actor who made a block list of anyone who disagrees with Corinna or any other entitled voice actor's opinion. If you don't know what a block list is on Blue Sky, I subscribe to this and it'll automatically block anyone who is on this list and anyone who gets added in the future. Thanks to this, the majority, if not—
That's so fucking dumb. Does Blue Sky not have regular blocks?
Not all of the entitled voice actors in question made this their main platform in which they retweet and spout the same things that they believe in. Most of them never admitted any wrongdoing. This was where we left off in the last video, but ever since then, many developments have occurred, which led us to the events of today, starting with a voice actor receiving threatening letters from SAG-AFTRA. Venti, the beloved femboy of Genshin Impact, is very important to the story. But here's the thing, he hadn't been in any story content for a very long time.
Oh, no.
So when version 5.6 of Genshin Impact was announced recently at the end of April, people were extremely excited to not only meet him again, but go back to the starting area. People's happiness was cut short though when they realized, wait, is Venti even gonna be voiced? This was an important question to ask.
Yo, we need Venti voiced. I think his Japanese VA is like very popular.
His voice actress, Erica Harlacher-Stone, is a known SAG-AFTRA member. She's part of the union. And seeing that other union members were striking Genshin Impact and other Hoyoverse games, even though they weren't a part of the strike, people assumed that she would be doing the same thing. Until we realized she didn't even have a choice.
Wait, hold up. A woman is voicing my twink boy? I just lost my heart on.
A disgruntled fan left this comment saying, you know what, we'll figure things out for you. You clearly don't give a damn about us or the game. We will be demanding a recast, and I pray to God you lose this role. You don't deserve it. To which Erica replied with, bruh, I'm trying to come back. SAG-AFTRA has been sending threatening letters to us, and it's been very complicated. I'm coming back soon. If it had been my choice, I would have been voicing the whole time.
No way! SAG has been sending threatening letters to them? That's awful. I know lots of women voice boys, okay? I know. I'm pretty sure it's a male VA that's voicing his Japanese VA.
Sad face. Yeah, this goes deeper than you think. And I just want to take a second here to remind you that not all voice actors are like Karuna. In fact, the majority isn't. The majority is like Erica. They just haven't said anything because they're scared of SAG-AFTRA, because then they risk getting kicked out of the union or shunned out of the industry. But Erica was having none of it. She was tired of losing opportunities, and she was tired of voice actors having their reputation get destroyed just because of a handful of very bad apples. One of her fans asked on TikTok, does this mean some of the other voice actors will be back in the 5.7 update? By the way, love your work. To which she said, I think so. SAG-AFTRA has been sending threatening letters, so it's been very difficult to navigate, but they were rude to me and I'm sick of this shit, so lol. Again, doubling down on the idea that she's been receiving threatening letters from SAG and that she's sick of this strike. The comments then continued with her saying, thank you guys for loving Venti as much as I do. I'm so sorry the strike has sucked for everyone. We didn't even vote on it.
What do you mean?
That's a bombshell by itself, by the way. But hold on a second. Just for the sake of being objective here, there was a vote that was held at the end of September 2023. It was 98.32% in favor. That's how many people voted yes. However, the people who voted were only 27% of eligible voters. So the majority didn't even vote. Was that because SAG communicated this in a very bad way? It's a possibility. They usually give barely 2 to 3 days notice before an important meeting. But just keep this in mind. Erica probably means she wasn't notified, she had no idea, which is totally valid, especially with this union. She then continues, I should probably take my own advice and shut the fuck up now, LMAO, but yeah, I'm really sorry for how dumb this has all been. So even though she's been speaking out very bravely to everyone about what's actually going on behind the scenes, she's of course still very concerned with the consequences she might face with SAG-AFTRA. They could, for example, kick her out of the union, and if she relies on union health insurance, then hey, say goodbye to that. Finally, a fan asked, hey, are you going to cover Venti's voice lines and everything you missed previously? And she said, yes, I will cover everything I missed. I'm literally so over this, LMAO. We got massively screwed over and I just want to get back to work.
Jesus.
So of course, everything she said so far is like listening to someone in prison asking to be let out. But it of course also makes you wonder, wait, do other voice actors also feel the same way? Well, actually,
probably.
Yeah. At least the ones who aren't unhinged like Karina. But bear in mind, these revelations of Erica came around the end of April, beginning of May. We're now in the beginning of June 2025. And the topic has shifted massively. It went from, oh, SAG-AFTRA is treating its voice actors like disposable toilet paper to, oh, SAG-AFTRA is literally about to make their entire profession go extinct because of how irresponsible they are. On May 5th, the Variety magazine reported video game companies released best and last offer to SAG-AFTRA addressing AI demands amid 9-month strike, exclusive. This is of course a very big deal. A best and last offer is exactly what it sounds like. It means the studios are saying this is the best we can do. We are not willing to change a single thing no matter what happens. You either take it or you leave it. So many voice actors were of course hopeful that this is finally going to end. I mean, it's not like SAG-AFTRA has a choice. If they refuse this and studios refuse to negotiate further, SAG-AFTRA, there will be no new contract negotiations until 2028. It will be like shooting yourself in the foot with a shotgun. But more importantly, this best and final offer had exceeded everyone's expectations. Everyone's. And when I say everyone, I mean actual working voice actors. Everything in green was something that SAG-AFTRA was asking for, and it was granted. Everything in red is not granted, and everything in yellow is negotiable on a case-by-case basis. So one contract may have
PCAP? PCAP DR covered? For games, yes. For animation, nope. Film and TV, nope. Everything else is green. Digital member report must notify performer of what their DR did in writing. In games, TV animation, nope. And film, this does look great.
Another one may not, but it's not outright.
Triforce Gaming! Thank you so much for joining the Giga Chats, you Giga Chat. Thank you.
Refused like what's in the red. As you can see, this is a whole lot of green.
It does seem very generous.
Impressive. And again, because of this, many voice actors were thinking, finally, like this is it, right? We can finally, after 10 months of striking, get back to work and earn some money.
Don't tell me they
right?
rejected it.
No. The voice actor behind Capitano and Genshin Impact and many other anime characters in anime dubs tweeted this out a few weeks after this final offer was presented, saying all of SAG-AFTRA membership got to vote on the interactive strike authorization.
Dude, this isn't a union. This is a dictatorship. And I'm the only dictator allowed here.
And now, even after receiving the last, best, and final offer, SAG is saying they are still negotiating. No, you aren't. It's done. The deal is good. Now let us vote to end the strike. Someone replied with, they really don't want to make life easier, damn, to which this voice actor replied with, yes, and not real sure why at this point. We can't negotiate anymore. It's either this or no more union AAA video games. And he is not exaggerating in any way. If this doesn't work and they have to wait till 2028 to renegotiate, there will be no more unions for big budget video games in regards to anything performance related. So voice acting, motion capture, you name it. But all of this doesn't add up at all. In 2023, there was the Hollywood actor strike by SAG-AFTRA, and after 118 days of striking, when they received a proposal from the studios they were striking against, they held a vote with 78% of members voting in favor of taking the contract.
Okay.
On the other hand, 22% voted no, and there were some very heavy criticisms to accepting the agreement a bit too early. But hey, that's what a union is. You vote on your rights because everyone has a say. Hell, the same day the voice actor of Capitano made his tweet, SAG-AFTRA had held a vote for people who are in audio commercials, and they were able to approve their contract with a vote of 96.9% saying yes and 3.1% saying no. So how is it exactly that every other facet of SAG-AFTRA could vote when they get an actual counteroffer?
How is this
voice
allowed?
Actors are not being given that right, which is a fundamental right of a union. Like, you have to understand, there are voice actors who haven't worked for over 10 months because of this strike. They, just like Erica, would receive a threatening letter if they were to work on video games. More specifically, ones that don't have this new contract that most haven't accepted. So this isn't just about the existential threat of voice acting as a whole in the United States, but it's about people who are literally on the brink of being homeless, needing a job. So seeing that things have gotten so bad, that SAG-AFTRA finally decide to hold a vote and have their members decide what to do next? No. You know what they did instead? They held a Q&A on Instagram Live. Fucking hell. Yep, that's right. It featured the SAG-AFTRA Interactive Media Agreement Negotiating Committee Chair, Sarah El-Maleh, and Chief Negotiator Duncan Crabtree Ireland, who also served as Chief Negotiator for the Hollywood strike back in 2023. This was all in an effort to discuss and answer questions about the video game negotiations and the strike, hoping to maybe reassure some people who were panicking about the fact that their profession might get deleted tomorrow. And as you might have guessed, this was an utter disaster that was extremely tone deaf and really showed us that the people who are doing this are not doing it in the best interest of voice actors. They couldn't care less. This live Q&A was from the 28th of May, and someone uploaded the whole thing on Vimeo. One of the biggest concerns from voice actors is the fact that their jobs are literally being replaced by overseas actors, especially in the UK. That question was asked, and here's how they answered it. As you listen to this, think of yourself as a voice actor who hasn't worked in 10 months. Is it comforting? Let's see.
Next question. We've heard that at least 8 AAA union games have exited the union since the beginning of May. What steps are you taking to prevent the union from losing more jobs? Well, I'll start on this, and then Sarah can weigh in if she wants to. I have heard from certain back channel sources about some games that have either threatened to or
look at the comments. Let us vote. Let them vote. Let actors vote. Please don't discount how serious this is. This has a check mark, so it's probably from a VA's account.
Started casting, for example, outside the United States or with non-union workers. The fact of the matter is that it is possible for some of these games to shift to casting and production outside the U.S. As far as producing in the U.S., if there are signatory producers who are doing games non-union, then you can expect us to take legal action to address that because they're not entitled to do that. But I think the most important step that we're taking is looking to try and reach an agreement. But reaching an agreement doesn't involve just capitulating to the employer position. I'll remind everybody that there was a point not too long ago where there were some people who said that we should just accept buyouts as part of the deal and make that deal. And right now, the last best and final that was put on the table with us does not include those buyouts because we pushed back on it. So I think that it's more nuanced than just a yes or no. And that's why we're actively engaged in communicating with the employer group in the hopes of reaching a deal quickly. That would obviously be the best thing that we could do to help make sure that that production resumes. And
Dude,
continues.
everybody's begging to return back to work. 12 gaming companies have already left. Let's please end this soon so more don't leave. 500 roles that could have gone to SAG actors.
Yeah, so if I had to give an example to someone as to what corporate speak sounds like, absolute corporate mumbo jumbo, I would just use this clip as an example. And yeah, don't worry, Sarah will echo the same thing. It's like, hey, we're being replaced by people overseas. Can we get a move on? Yeah, but you know, this is really about the agreement and we'll take our time examining the agreement and we'll get back to you and hopefully, you know, we'll get to a point where we're happy. It's like, come on, dude, get to the point. I'm about to be homeless. And just so you're aware, this guy right here on the left, yeah, Duncan, he makes over $1 million a year working for SAG-AFTRA. $1 million. Sarah, on the other hand, also works for SAG. I'm
Okay,
sure.
well, that's where the $3,000 entry fee and percentage fee goes to. We just figured that out.
Salary's amazing, and even if it wasn't, she doesn't have to worry about not being able to find a job. As a voice actor who hasn't worked for 10 months, who's literally struggling to make ends meet, hearing these two talk about this must feel like the most out-of-touch thing ever. How can he sit here and so confidently say we're going to keep the strike going without taking in any points of feedback
That's
while you make
awful.
$1 million a year? It just doesn't really
Wow.
feel right. It feels
Wow.
weird. You can see some comments here saying 12 gaming companies have already left. Let's please end this soon so more don't leave. 500 roles that could have gone to SAG actors. Another
True.
person says let the actors
True,
vote.
Envy.
Another one says let the actors vote. It's a very unfortunate situation. SAG-AFTRA also posted this on Instagram, showing what they want changed in the last best and final offer. There are 3 essential items here, right? And the first one, the most important one that they really want to show you first here in the slideshow, is that they don't like companies generating new materials with replicas during a strike. Just so you know, AI replicas are actually part of this contract. Voice actors are allowed to consent if they're getting paid for it. So this right here really bothers SAG-AFTRA because it takes away power from them when they're striking. In fact, during the end of the Q&A, you can hear the pain in the voices of these two people when someone has a question about Side Letter 6 projects. Here's how the Coalition of Dubbing Actors explains this. Remember this name because they will be very important later on. But in a nutshell, they say, it's a serious flaw in the SAG-AFTRA video game contract that allows projects that have begun production before a strike was called to continue without disruption. This coalition then says, we strongly urge all actors to avoid auditioning for and working on SL6 projects. But here's the thing, this is in the contract, and it wasn't talked about enough when the entitled voice actors were losing their minds on Twitter. So SAG really don't want another SL6 situation because it gives them less power during strikes, and they're willing to sacrifice this current strike just to hear back on this, reason 2, which is fair dispute resolution, and reason 3, which is close the loophole. You can read these for yourself, but these 3 right here are why this strike is still ongoing and why they're risking everything. But most voice actors are already very happy with this right here. Everything that's in green that we already discussed, these 3 things aren't that big of a deal for them. That's the problem. But when you're making $1 million a year, you might not be able to see that. Anyway, during this Q&A, Mr. $1 million here had this to say about a question. Watch.
Mr. $1 million
I just wanna say,
here.
whether you agree with or disagree with the committee or any individual member of the committee or whatever, this committee, these members have devoted a vast amount of their personal lives to fighting for this contract, and they've done it not because it's their paid job to do it or for any other reason than because they care about helping make sure that our members are protected and that this contract is...
Okay, then donate your $1 million salary to charity or something, or give it back to the actors that are not able to work right now while you're working and making top money.
The contract that members deserve, and that we achieve the best possible contract at the table. So I just want to say to everybody out there, it's totally great to agree or disagree with the committee. This is a union where we welcome differences of opinion, but I hope that everybody will really recognize and respect the commitment and contribution that your committee members have made on your behalf as part of doing this process.
You hear that? It is okay, even welcomed, to disagree with a committee currently negotiating this contract on behalf of all union members. Very beautiful. I mean, SAG-AFTRA is a democracy after all, right? Well, no, not really. The negotiating committee has its own agenda, and they're not willing to listen to anyone who doesn't share their own opinions, as we're about to find out in numerous conversations that they've had in a private Discord. All right, so remember the Coalition of Dubbing Actors, otherwise known as CODA? According to their website, they have spent decades creating quality voice acting to localize amazing foreign projects so that they can be experienced and enjoyed by audiences across the world. That's wonderful. But if you were to join their private Discord server, you would never guess that that's what they do. No, instead you think that it's some sort of radicalization pipeline that's meant to make you think that this strike can go on forever.
Okay.
This server has hundreds of members, mostly people who are new, but many who are in SAG-AFTRA as union members. Here you'll see many messages from people on the negotiating committee, as well as people who are also present on Blue Sky and who spend a lot of time pushing the same ideas there. Starting us off, here's a message from a high-ranking negotiating committee member, garnering a lot of reactions from people in the server. Here's what they had to say very shortly.
I mean, it's
after
probably an
receiving the
echo
last,
chamber
best,
in
and
there.
final offer. They've given a last best offer. Next may come a last best and final offer. Next, they may try to walk away. The selfish elites will claim they can leave forever because they don't believe we are worth anything. Disney and Warner Bros. Can do that. They don't make games, they just license them. Formosa and Blindlight, which are recording studios, will be in danger of going out of business, which is why VoiceWorks broke away and why Blindlight just found a way to get a game on the to be announced without having to sign themselves. Insomniac and the other plot-driven studios will finish their SL6 games and then be faced with asking actors to scab. Voice actors like Jen and Troy will likely do that out of spite and selfishness, but the studio's reputations will suffer and they will lose access to their on-camera celebrities. I just want to point out, this is a negotiating committee member calling out two very well-known voice actors in the industry.
What the fuck?
Okay? All right. They continue. Call of Duty, Fortnite, and all of the purely celebrity-driven content will have to come back. They've built their business model on it, and on-camera celebrities are not going to work non-union during a strike. So we may have to see how long they will hold out while we continue to make money with the interim. We will likely update the interim with new understanding of the tech in the next few months to lure in more games, and we'll see who wins. That is my best logic-driven approach without the fear-mongering weighted in. So yeah, this feels like a motivational talk to people who are worried about losing their jobs, while calling out two very well-known voice actors by name.
What do they mean that they're going to continue to make money with the interim?
As well as saying a very funny sentence here, we will continue to make money with the interim, referring to the studios who've already signed the interim agreement. It's funny to me because voice acting in video games pays like nothing, and these roles in particular with the new interim agreement are very far and few in between. But you have to remember, even though there's hundreds of people in this Discord, many of them are new voice actors, ones that are up and coming, and they might be a bit naive. I mean, you have a negotiating committee member here telling you all these things. They must be right. They're a veteran. In fact, in this one's particular case, they used to be a board member of SAG-AFTRA. Who am I talking about? Well, meet Zeke Alton. But before we do, we need to talk about the AI voice acting company by the name of Ethovox, the only premium voice service created by actors and empowered by AI. They claim to be an AI company that is ethically sourced. Interestingly enough, SAG-AFTRA signed an agreement with Ethovox on October 30th, 2024, a few months after this video game strike had even begun. But you know what's the most interesting part of all this? Zeke used to be on the board of Ethovox. And as his description says, he's a professional voice actor, NAVA advisory board member, and former SAG-AFTRA board member. And now he's back at SAG-AFTRA as one of the members of the negotiating committee for the strike. Even posting official information directly from SAG-AFTRA in channels like Strike Talk Official. My source actually tells me that Zeke isn't just back to be a negotiating committee for SAG, he's actually back to be a full-time board member at SAG-AFTRA. This of course only makes him and the union look worse. Another name you'll see a lot in these conversations is Kyle McCarley. He is not someone on the negotiating committee of SAG-AFTRA, but he is someone who shares Zeke's views almost one-to-one. This can be seen on his Blue Sky account, with his profile picture being the SAG-AFTRA on strike icon and dedicating almost his entire feed to the strike, even being retweeted many times by our friend Karina. This message right here gives us kind of a glimpse of the mentality Kyle, Zeke, and many others in this Discord have when he said, and I'm still sitting here thinking, blow the whole contract up. They don't want to give us what we want? Let them walk. Kill the deal entirely. Interim becomes the new IMA, and when they inevitably come crawling back to us, they give us the terms we should have gotten from them 10 months ago. But it doesn't work like that. I mean, not easily anyway. So yeah, of course, this can be seen as a lighthearted message, but the tone here doesn't really change in the next messages either. And it's this idea that they hold all the cards, that the studios need them more than they could ever need the studios, when that is not the case. Many jobs are being lost as we speak to overseas actors, and this is a very irresponsible thing to think, even as a joke in such a serious setting. Here we can see a voice actor asking a question and tagging Zeke, saying, could I have a suspicion confirmed? If someone is FICOR and advertising/working on non-union work during a strike, that can affect their ability to work union in the future, right? Now, just as a reminder, being FICOR means that you're kind of part of SAG-AFTRA, but you're just giving up all the benefits of being union in order to work non-union work without consequences. And even though you're technically under SAG-AFTRA, SAG-AFTRA sees you as a scab, which is wonderful, but you can still qualify for health insurance if you're working union projects. So the whole point of becoming FICOR is to be able to work non-union work even during a strike. But this voice actor is wondering, does this affect their ability to work union jobs in the future? Because they can work both, union and non-union. Zeke says, it would be considered scabbing and they would never be allowed back into the union. The union cannot prevent a company from hiring them in the future, but union developers have been asking for lists of people not to hire. Let me just repeat that one more time. Union developers have been asking for lists of people not to hire. He continues, of course, that's illegal and unrealistic, but it's a small community. We're all responsible for our actions, and flaunting a strike is more serious than I think some performers understand. They'll be severely limiting their career opportunities in the future to only the kind of games that are actively looking to gather up actors' digital identities. So look, when you become FICOR, okay?
What is this fear-mongering?
SAG-AFTRA tries to stop you multiple times. It's like asking a bank to withdraw $1 million cash. They'll try to stop you multiple times because they don't have the money. They gotta get it from the vault. And usually when you become FICOR, it's already almost impossible to become union again. This message from Zeke signals that yes, I mean, they're doing what they signed up for. They're FICOR. They can work non-union jobs even during a strike. But there might be some consequences, even though it's not written in the contract. Like, admitting this is crazy. The fact that there are union developers hoping to get a list of people not to hire. Now, of course, he does say it's illegal and unrealistic, but I mean, then he says, but it's a small community. I can't conclude anything from this, but I do have a feeling that maybe, just
hey, it's legal, but hey, it's a small community. Anything could happen, YOLO.
Maybe. If you sign up to be FICOR to work non-union jobs during a strike, then you might get discriminated against when it comes to taking on union jobs in the future, which is kind of crazy.
That's
fucked up. The voice actor chimes in and says, I mean, I would assume it's the same rules as pre-strike. If you're non-union, you're free to work whatever you want. To which Kyle says, if you're not a member, you are not beholden to any union rules, including strike rules. However, working non-union during a strike does undermine its efforts every bit as much as promoting that work does. The reason to withhold that work or not promote it is to stand in solidarity with your fellow actors, but nothing requires you to do so, other than the very slim potential for jeopardizing your future membership if that's something you want to pursue someday.
Wow, yo, that went dark so fucking fast. That is like the polite tone, subtle threat, but nothing requires you to do so other than the very slim potential for jeopardizing your future membership if that's something you want to pursue someday.
So Cal comes in, mostly agrees with Zeke,
Harvey Weinstein,
but does so in a more level-headed way.
Without the grapes and essay.
With no mention of some sort of blacklist, only saying there's a very slim potential chance of you not being able to join SAG-AFTRA if you want to in the future. Which is still ridiculous, by the way, because you're non-union. Why should a strike even matter to you? Zeke then comes in again and says it can be considered scabbing. If the union is actively working to flip a game like Genshin, an actual working non-union would be in violation. Also, if the non-union games turns out to be one that was previously union and the producer pulled a fast one, it can still be considered scabbing under the current strike order. The only thing the union can do is to note it and tag you as someone who is never allowed to join in the future. So Zeke comes in again, undoes everything Kyle said, okay, like that level-headed response down the toilet and reiterates, guys, if you work a non-union job during a strike, you'll never be able to join SAG in the future. And
The
also, if
fuck?
you're non-union working on a game like Genshin Impact, also, you're in violation. This is actually really funny to me because according to Zeke, Karina, the voice actor behind Paimon, is someone who is never allowed to join SAG-AFTRA again because they voiced Paimon for months during the strike as a FI Corps member. But I'm sure not all rules are applied equally in SAG-AFTRA, seeing that it's an amazing, very fair organization. If things haven't been weird enough, let's get back to Erica.
Is this a union or a cult?
When she complained to her fans that she was receiving threatening letters from SAG, and that she really wanted to get back to this, the fact that she didn't even vote for the strike to begin, the Coda Discord took notice. Here's what they had to say. A voice actor by the name of Marin M. Miller said, "It's very sad that Erica has failed to meet this moment in a way that supports the people around her." Oh, someone above said, right, that's because they're composing acting industry fan fiction. It doesn't have to make sense. Kyle McCarley said, single most damaging thing any one person has done to the strike efforts, in my opinion. Can we just read that again real quick? Single most damaging thing any one person has done to the strike efforts, in my opinion. Really? I mean, I think you're insulting Karina right now by saying this. Really? Erica, really? This video right here literally ended the strike, okay? This video right here ruined voice acting reputation for generations, and you're gonna blame Erica. Interesting. Then another member of the negotiating committee chimes in, Lindsay. She says, we're just trying to fight for AI protections, something that can't be done on an individual level. When Mihoyo makes a digital replica of her character and never hires her again, she's going to wish she had a horde of union lawyers to go after them. So look, these messages can be interpreted in a million different ways. All I'll say is that it's a shame. The fact that one of their colleagues for the last 10 months has not been able to voice a role they enjoy so much that means a lot to them, while being under the threat of being replaced, sucks. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It sucks to be in Erica's shoes. And I'm not seeing one message here that is showing empathy. It's also ridiculous to me how they chose to, on purpose, right, blind themselves from the entitled voice actors from my last video. You had people openly blacklisting Jacob, calling him out, tweeting about his finances, and publicly blacklisting him from projects. And these people are convinced that Erica venting about the fact that she can't work on a character she loves due to the strike is the single most damaging thing any person has done to the strike efforts. That's crazy to me. It's further proof that we're really in an echo chamber, and that if someone agrees with you, they
Oh, Kiwasa, you figured out a super chat. Testing, Jesus Christ. It was my ad blocker stopping the super chat screen from popping up. Oh, well, there you go. Glad you figured it out. Welcome back.
can do no wrong. But anyway, we're now back to the message that I showed you at the beginning of the video. Yes, the person who sent it was Zeke Alton, talking about how some outside parties have engaged in a campaign to influence performers and we need to address it. Why is he saying that? What does he even mean? Well, at some point, Zeke said, SL6 Elder Scrolls is sending out auditions again, let's all tell Blindlight to F off. So Blindlight isn't a developer, it's a Los Angeles-based company providing Hollywood production services to the video game industry. So the Elder Scrolls 6 hires them to do the recording for them, kind of like how Genshin Impact hires studios in the US to do recording for them. They're not directly involved. The Elder Scrolls is an SL6 project. It started before the strike. It's perfectly legal within SAG-AFTRA contract terms to work them without any repercussions, without being a scab. But Zeke's over here saying, let's tell them to F off, even though it's perfectly legal to take it. A while later, Zeke says, with all the angry rhetoric about how employers are going to walk away from us and the fear tactics used to get people to accept a bad deal, today, Blindlight put out an audition for a game under the tiered budget agreement. Let me say that again for the cheap seats, Blindlight has agreed to put out a game with our AI protections. Tell me again what these companies won't do. So look, I'm very happy for them, but this isn't the interim agreement. It's the tiered budget independent interactive media agreement. Employers who still want to sign voice actors during the strike must either use this contract or the interim agreement. And the reason why this contract exists is because it allows studios with less budget to pay voice actors less. And if they have a bigger budget, they have to pay voice actors more. But yeah, although minimal, it does have clauses for artificial intelligence, as Zeke said. One important thing to keep in mind though is that the cutoff date to being able to use this contract is in 2026, which makes it that much more important for SAG to finish negotiations. Otherwise, even this beloved contract of Zeke will not be applicable anymore. However, what we need to understand here is that this is just one game, not all games moving moving forward. But it also doesn't really make much sense to me. When voice actors were having a meltdown on Twitter, they were told, hey, listen, the studios that Genshin Impact is hiring have AI protections built into their contracts. They said, no, this is not enough. Genshin Impact, the studio has to sign the interim agreement, otherwise we're not happy. So in the case of Elder Scrolls 6, doesn't Bethesda have to sign the agreement, not Blindlight? And in this case, doesn't that mean the studio hiring Blindlight has signed the tiered budget agreement? Doesn't really make much sense, right? I mean, things in the strike barely do. But what I really want you to see is the messages that come afterwards. A voice actor says, also, to be honest, I would rather have no deal and have the producers walk away and go non-union or elsewhere than to have a deal, because at least then we would be covered by the law. So I'd rather call their bluff. To which Zeke says, I hope enough people show up and express that, because we expect a wave of take the deal vote.
I would rather have no deal and have the producers walk away and go non-union or elsewhere than to have a bad deal, because at least then we would be covered by the law. So I'd rather call their bluff. Haruto-chan, thank you for the sub. Welcome to the Cute Squad. Welcome, welcome.
Okay, let's just take a step back here, all right? This is someone who is a complete extremist saying, I'd rather have no work at all if it means that I can't work under a union contract. Something that most voice actors who are already financially suffering after 10 months of no work would completely disagree with. And then you have someone on the negotiating committee saying, I hope enough people show up and express that, because we expect a wave of take the deal votes. This is a negotiating committee member openly saying
that guy really is a SAG-AFTRA extremist.
Taking the deal if they ever hold a vote on the final, last, and best offer. This is a clear agenda as a member of the negotiating committee, but it actually gets way worse when you really think about it. So remember how only 27% of eligible voters actually voted in favor of starting the video game strike? This totaled around 34,687 members. We have a negotiating committee member out here trying to influence hundreds of people to vote no to the next vote regarding the final, last, and best offer. If that's not vote manipulation, I don't know what is. And that is extremely weird. Do you understand why this is ridiculous, why I'm making this video? You are a negotiator, you try to get the best deal, and then when the vote comes in, you shut your mouth and you let your union members decide what's best for them. But here we see that there's a very clear agenda, and it's alarming. This catastrophe doesn't end here though. After Joe had released his video explaining the strike, the Coda Discord had a lot to say about it. A voice actor posted the video saying, welp, Joe made a video, to which Kyle McCarley replied with, barely scratched the surface of this, but I don't like him saying that Hoyo isn't struck, referring to Hoyoverse games like Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero, and Honkai Star Rail. Kyle then continues and says, I do love the part where he breaks down the fact that a union agreement would end their work stoppage, that they absolutely have the resources to do so, and that many cast members would have qualified for healthcare on Genshin alone. Because he further explains, the issue I have with that definition is largely one of semantics, but union members are striking the entire video game industry. We're not striking specific companies, we're striking every game that hasn't signed an interim, with the unfortunately necessary legal exception for side letter 6. And I don't like that he kicks off a 30-minute video with, the strike doesn't apply to Hoyo, because yes it does, and if anyone chooses to tune out early, they're gonna miss all the explaining he does. Zeke then says, it's not all accurate, but there's more good than bad there. So again, there's a lot of new, young, impressionable people joining this Discord, and it really does make me think, are Kyle and Zeke intentionally misleading them, or can they really not read one simple article from SAG-AFTRA themselves? When the strike started on July 26, 2024, SAG-AFTRA very specifically said, the 10 companies facing the strike are Activision Productions Inc., Blindlight LLC, Disney Character Voices Inc., Electronic Arts Productions Inc., Epic Games Inc.,
so how is Hoyoverse in it?
LLC, Insomniac Games Inc., Take-Two Productions Inc., VoiceWorks Productions Inc., and Warner Bros. Games Inc. There was no mention of an industry-wide strike. There was no mention of a contract strike. This is a strike that began, and as far as we know, still is, about these 10 companies. They're negotiating the last, best, and final offer with a coalition formed by these 10 companies. Now, I don't know if Kyle is misinformed or maybe spent too much time on Blue Sky, but this has never been an industry-wide strike. This has never been a strike against Genshin or anything else other than those 10 studios, period. You can even see this on SAG-AFTRA's
Hoyover's not on the list.
VPN to access this. On October 15th, 2024, they had made an update, and again, they said the convenience bargaining group includes Activision, Blindlight, etc. No mention of Genshin, no mention of an industry-wide strike, none of that. These people are role-playing. They think they're the main character or something, and that's what's so dangerous about it. Now, of course, I can't get their side of the story because I doubt they'll reply to a DM from me. And if I were to give them the benefit of the doubt, I'd say, oh, they're a very passionate bunch who truly think that they're fighting for their own rights. And you know what? I hope they get those rights, but they're doing it in such an irresponsible way while disregarding tens of thousands of performers and voice actors in the video game industry. Not to mention that some people like Zeke, who are on the negotiating committee, are very irresponsible with how they share information and how they're so openly trying to manipulate the vote. I mean, there's no other way to say this. There's no benefit of the doubt here. He was literally calling on people to vote no. All while people are out there losing their jobs, unable to pay rent, unable to afford anything because they're thinking they're striking for the betterment of their own industry, when in reality, it's being handled by a bunch of irresponsible, entitled voice actors who are threatening to ruin everything. Innocent, reasonable voice actors are being hurt here, and they're getting very tired of this. After that disaster...
I never realized that. Yeah, the acronym of Blue Sky is BS. Coincidence, yes, but it's funny as hell. True, Aqua.
Astra's Instagram livestream, Capitano's voice actor quote tweeted his last tweet and said, since receiving the last best final offer, SAG's only update to membership was a half-hour IG live for the public. Members weren't even emailed.
What?
Where do we now stand, SAG-AFTRA? We are now heading towards an impasse that will kill all union video games. Paying members deserve the right to vote.
Yeah, they do.
He was getting tired of this, and he wasn't the only one who spoke up. Sam Slade, the voice actress behind Ambi from Zenless Zone Zero and Topaz from Honkai Star Rail, as well as many other roles, hadn't once made a statement about the strike until now. She said, I've been careful to not say too much during the strike because I'm frankly exhausted with how actors are treating each other and I don't want to deal with it. But this is about more than just us now. Union and non-union jobs are leaving and we'd be lucky if they came back. I support the strike's core purpose to establish a contract for union work based on consent and compensation that will influence non-union work in the future. I've read the damn offer we have right now. Other actors have read it. Other lawyers have read it. We have what we asked for. And we're risking it all on loopholes that we don't trust the SAG lawyers we insist are our protectors to protect us. If an employer plays dirty, employers can play dirty in non-union work too, and that's a risk many of us take every day. Last time I checked, SAG animation, dubbing, and all of the non-union work floating around doesn't have protections anywhere close to the deal that we have. The commercial contract just got their contract. If the bargaining partners walk, their new projects will be non-union and we're back to square one, with whatever protections we can scavenge from existing contracts like SL6 games, and crossing our fingers that the newly non-union contracts don't play dirty, except we won't have SAG lawyers on our side to protect us. I can't vote or attend meetings because I'm FICOR, but please, I beg our voting members to urge our negotiating committee and leadership to not prolong the strike. It's not about us anymore.
So she's FICOR, so she's banned from joining SAG-AFTRA again?
Recording engineers, directors, production teams, entire studios, those are jobs that will leave and are leaving that may never come back. There are talented voice actors around the world, and it's silly to think the US is the only source of talent these games want. Please let everyone get back to work. She also clarifies things further, emphasizing that this post isn't about Hoyo Games, it's about the current interactive media agreement strike and the greater industry that it affects. I'm not here for drama. I'm also not a union member, so please don't refer to me as one. It wouldn't be fair to my union colleagues. Also, if this thread ends up in a video covering the strike or whatever, hi YouTube. Hey Sam, glad to see that you're a good sport. It's very refreshing, especially after what we've been through in the last video. The last thing she said was, but Sam, where's your source on games leaving? Gestures to everything. Sam, how do you know they'll go non-union if they...
It always feels good when people don't throw a baby rage fit when they're featured in a video. It feels very refreshing, like he said, and it feels like they're good sports.
To which he says, when a contract expires, the parties are no longer beholden to it. They will have zero obligation to sign another if they don't want to. So yeah, this is getting so bad that it's forced people like Sam, who are FICOR, or hell, some non-union actors too, to speak up about this. Pressure was mounting, not just from consumers, but performers too. So SAG-AFTRA all of a sudden on June 7th said, hey, we're doing a meeting on June 9th. You can join IRL or through Zoom. Voice actors were finally hoping to be able to hold a vote so that they can finally express what they think. What ended up happening though was completely unexpected and came out of nowhere, leaving them even more confused. Some didn't even know whether to celebrate or be worried. According to my source, during the Zoom meeting, SAG-AFTRA leadership spent a long time ass-kissing their performers, thanking them for their efforts during the strike. And then, as everyone was expecting some sort of a vote, SAG-AFTRA leadership announces that, hey guys, don't worry, a tentative agreement has been reached with the studios. The strike will be ending soon. Now, of course, most people were very relieved to hear this. Many went into this meeting fully expecting SAG-AFTRA to delay this strike again. So this is definitely a step in the right direction, thanks to many voice actors complaining to SAG about them delaying it this long. But this doesn't mean that things are truly back to normal. No, there's still work to be done, and things can still go wrong. Shortly after this meeting, SAG-AFTRA tweeted out, "We have reached a tentative agreement with the video game bargaining group, which includes some of the largest video game companies in the world, and we are hopeful that our video game strike will be suspended in the coming days," linking a post on their website.
Coming days.
Now look, before we get to that post, I want to point out that a lot of people were celebrating this, and I get why. I mean, listen, I want voice actors to get the rights they deserve too, but this was never about voice actors. This was
It makes me wonder when you cover video games, how often the parties message you about your videos. Usually it's positive. Yeah. Usually it's positive. And I feel like a lot of people make assumptions or not on whether or not I'm allowed to cover some topics when most of the times me and the subject matter have spoken prior. For example, like the Alicia thing. The Alicia thing, I had some comments saying that the Alicia video had some comments saying that they were, oh, you know, maybe she doesn't want you talking about this. I was like, bro, she's cool about it. Like, just chill out. A lot of the time they thank me, or, you know, they exchange good words, or they're just thankful that I'm being respectful. That's why it's important to be respectful sometimes, and for chat to behave as well. And that's why sometimes I have to rein some things in, because then, you know, if people, you know, people come to you sometimes with exclusive information, and if you drive them away because you're too rude or chat's too rude, it's gonna give them, you know, cold feet, and then that's it. We won't have any more information. They're just gonna close the tap. You know, you're not, and other people will see this, and they also won't want to contribute information, and then we won't have any more videos. So it's kind of like, you know, it's a long-term play. Yeah, consider Alicia appreciate Mujin's video. I think she's okay with good coverage. Exactly. And, you know, I mean, we've had some incidents where people were upset, but these people, they usually let that known on social media, so you guys have probably heard about it.
It's always about
Feats
SAG-AFTRA
mentioned,
for me.
yes.
And I wasn't the only one. Many were wondering, okay, well, struck games are now going to be voiced again, probably if this tentative agreement gets finalized. But what about non-struck games that were affected by the strike, like any game under Hoyoverse, among others, like, for example, Destiny 2? And that's
Yeah, Alicia was in the live chat. Yeah, well, yeah, but people watching the video don't know these intricacies. So, like, when I did the Pippa video, people also, you know, they assume a bunch of things. But when we rated Pippa, she said she liked the video. So things like that. People often assume the worst, but it usually doesn't always go that way.
definitely a concern here. So let's take a look at what SAG-AFTRA had to say about this in their post on their website. The title is, SAG-AFTRA and video game employers reach tentative agreement on interactive media contract, National Board to review. They then say, SAG-AFTRA and the signatory video game companies, which include Activision, Blindlight, Disney Character Voices, Electronic Arts, Epic Games, Formosa Interactive, Insomniac Games, Take-Two Productions, and Warner Brother Games, have reached a tentative agreement on terms for the interactive media contract, subject to review and approval by the National Board and ratification by the membership in the coming weeks. Specific details of the agreement will be released with the ratification materials. It is expected the terms of a strike suspension agreement will be finalized with employers soon. Until such agreement is reached, however, SAG-AFTRA members will remain on strike against these employers. SAG-AFTRA National Executive Director and Chief Negotiator.
Yes, true. Fillion watched my video and she was okay with it too. True. Iron Mouse watched my video, and she liked it too, but she had to stop because she said she doesn't like being sent stuff about her illness, and I get that. It's a little weird. And also it's a little weird watching somebody like kind of glaze you for like 20 minutes.
Creator Duncan Crabtree Ireland said, "Everyone at SAG-AFTRA is immensely grateful for the sacrifices made by video game performers and the dedication of the Interactive Media Agreement Negotiating Committee throughout these many months of the video game strike. Patience and persistence has resulted in the deal that puts in place the necessary AI guardrails that defend performers' livelihoods in the AI age alongside other important gains. Thank you, Interactive Media Agreement Negotiating Chair Sarah Al-Maleh and Chief Contracts Officer Ray Rodriguez for your hard work and advocacy in pursuit of this contract." SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher stated, "Our video game performers stood strong against the biggest employers in one of the world's most lucrative industries. Their incredible courage and persistence, combined with the tireless work of our negotiating committee, has at last secured a deal. The needle has been moved forward and we are much better off than before. As soon as this is ratified, we will roll up our sleeves and begin to plan the next negotiation. Every contract is a work in progress, and progress is the name of the game." SAG-AFTRA members have been on strike against video game employers since July 26, 2024. Prior to that, SAG-AFTRA members approved the video game strike authorization in September 2023 with a 98.32% yes vote. So there you have it. This is a strike against those 10 different studios, the ones that were struck from the beginning. This doesn't include Hoyoverse and other developers that have been struck that have nothing to do with the strike. There are also 2 final steps to be reached before the strike can be officially called off: an approval by the National Board and ratification by the membership, which will take weeks. Sam Slade saw the post by SAG-AFTRA and thought, you know what, let me just share the most important details for people who don't want to read, saying, "For anyone confused about what this means but don't want to read past the headline, I got you, yippee," showing part of that post on SAG-AFTRA's website. But then someone asked, "Could I ask how this would affect games like Hoyoverse since they're non-union and wouldn't have signed? I see people saying it doesn't make a difference, but I don't know if that would be true. Maybe Global Rule 1 would become less strict or something, I'm not sure, but so happy about this." Sam replies with, "I'm not a SAG member, so I don't have answers to questions about the union's policies, sorry. An actor's decision to withhold work is a personal choice, you'd have better luck asking the actor directly." So in Sam's defense, even union actors have no idea about this.
What?
Because SAG-AFTRA is nothing but transparent. And this question about Global Rule 1 is very important. Global Rule 1 states, "No member shall render any services or make an agreement to perform services for any employer who has not executed a basic minimum agreement with the union, which is in full force and effect in any jurisdiction in which there is a SAG-AFTRA National Collective Bargaining Agreement in place. This provision applies worldwide."
Oh.
Simply put, a SAG-AFTRA member must always work under a union contract around the globe. Now, it's important to note, for video game contracts, 80%
enforce
or
that?
more are usually non-union, and SAG-AFTRA knows this, which is why for years they've never pursued someone who is in the union who was working a non-union contract. That was, of course, until this strike had begun. Those threatening letters that Venti's voice actor was receiving, that was because she was breaking Global Rule 1 by voicing for Genshin. This new agreement that's now being finalized only gives SAG-AFTRA even more power when it comes to employers under their jurisdiction. So one has to truly wonder, can union voice actors truly continue to work non-union projects, which are the majority of projects in video games? And don't even bother asking a union voice actor about this because even they don't know. Okay, again, SAG-AFTRA is very transparent and honest. We'll only be finding this out when it's too late. If I had to sum up the sentiment here, overall, people are happy for the voice actors that were not entitled, of course, but are still mad at SAG-AFTRA for how they handled the strike and how they continue to handle themselves. And I'm almost positive that the only reason they reached this tentative agreement was because of backlash from their own union members. Because as evidenced by the leaked messages we have of a couple of members in the negotiating committee, they had zero intentions of accepting this agreement. It kind of leaves you with a bitter taste in your mouth. And speaking about bitter taste in your mouth, Karina actually recently got on a podcast for some reason with someone who has already laughed at the unhinged rants in the past. In it, we had a huge revelation. Paimon is not being voiced anymore. Apparently, Jacob Takanashi taking up Kinich was the final straw for Karina, even though Karina had very openly stated that voicing Paimon is the only reason they can afford to live and not be homeless, stating, "Thanks, Paperbag Boy, for having me. But yeah, I make the announcement here that after John got recast, that was the final straw for me, and I told Hoyo I was not coming back to record until they signed the SAG interim agreement." Of course, when people heard these news, they rejoiced.
And Hoyo was like, "Okay, bye."
People were celebrating like I've never seen them celebrate before. But this right here is what's worrying. Are all union actors going to follow Karina's mentality because they'll be forced to by the Global Rule 1 being finally applied? Is every single studio on US soil meant to sign this agreement?
Wait, it's fucked. I guess I wouldn't join the union then, because you probably can get more work non-union if 80% of the games are non-unions. But it just sucks because then you have no benefits. And if you live in the States, well, you need health insurance.
not just the 10 companies that were struck? Unless SAG-AFTRA clarifies, we have to
Wait,
assume
Tecton lost a bet with himself, so he reinstalled Genshin? Was it about this?
that that's the case. And if it is the case, then union voice actors will continue to be replaced by overseas talent. That is a fact. Look, in the end, all I can say is I truly want
Wait, why did I lose quality? 240p? Hello? Can we go back to HD? What is
voice
this?
actors to get what they deserve. A proper contract that gives them proper rights and
Yo.
good compensation. But when it comes to SAG-AFTRA, we can't deny that the flaws are way too much to ignore, including hiring members of the negotiating committee that have a very clear bias, one that they're proud to showcase to people who can vote. I hope that this made things clearer to you as a consumer, but more importantly, if you're a voice actor watching or a union member, I hope you now realize that it was thanks to your pressure that SAG-AFTRA finally folded and that the negotiating committee was never truly—
No, that's me. I don't know why it won't go back to HD. Oh, if MiHoYo got rid of the voice of Paimon, he'd reinstall Genshin and give the most recent Genshin patch a fair try. No fucking way.
fully on your side. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I truly wish the best for all the voice actors, except the entitled ones from the last video. And I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. I love you so much. Mwah.
Damn, that was a really good video. I'm so sorry that the strike made you go homeless. Anyway, the $1 million dude. Off note, but Karina is supposedly FICOR, in other words, a scab by SAG standards. However, if Hoyo signed the interim, Karina would have a higher chance of becoming an eligible member. An eligible member for voicing a main character, so they benefit the most of the game turning into a union project. Oh. That's a really good note. Thank you. Yeah, I saw that they've been threatening Mugen. We saw this earlier. It's kind of wild. Kind of wild. We need legal mindset on this case. All right. I'm going to end stream here. I'm pretty tired now. I've reached my limit. I've reached my limit for the day. I'll continue with the topics maybe tomorrow. Limit break, yeah. Thanks for tuning in today. It was nice being back. I'm gonna go get some rest because it's already pretty late. It's past my bedtime. Ojo needs her sleep. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Stay tuned for the next live stream. Mwah!